stage is set. Super Bowl 58 is only 36 hours away. The Chiefs and 49ers will do battle in Las Vegas, the second biggest event that's about to happen in the next month in Las Vegas. Of course, first round of rugby league, not too far away. We're going to look back at the AFC and NFC championship games, how the teams got there. We'll also preview the big game and have a quick look at Taylor Swift markets. Wrap up the NFL Player Awards. Lamar did close to unanimously win the NFL MVP. We'll look at all the other awards. NBA, the final moves just before the trade deadline. We've got all the trade news. Plus, Joel Embiid, his knee injury essentially rubs him from being the MVP. It's the Joker's for the taking, and the All-Star weekend is fast approaching. Bit of cricket, the shortest ODI ever in Australia, just down the road at Manuka Oval. Plus, the male Matildas bow out in the quarters of the Asian Cup at the hands of South Korea. Liverpool slip up against Arsenal, which adds a lot of spice to this title race in the EPL. Plus a final round, which includes the UFC 298 preview, Volk taking on Ilya Topuria, F1 news, Lewis Hamilton over to Ferrari, and as aforementioned, footy season just around the corner. This is On The Esky, a sports podcast. We like our Aussie sports, we like our US sports, and we like to have a laugh and a dribble. Do have timestamps. You can skip to the sports that you want to watch or just watch the whole damn thing. And check us out on Instagram and socials. We'd like to start the show by shouting a beer. Shauno, who would you like to shout a beer this week?
I'm going to go with less of a sporting figure, slightly is, but I think for a lot of people, very recognisable as I'm going to say sporting figure, but someone that brought people interest in sports, athletics, etc. So, and I'm shouting a beer, of course, for Carl Weathers, who unfortunately passed away during the week at the tender age of 76. Famous, of course, for being in Rocky, playing Apollo Creed many times, and, of course, being in Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then most recently, he's been doing some Star Wars episodes, Mandalorian, etc. I thought it would be worth mentioning Carl Weathers. Played linebacker a little bit for the Raiders in the early 70s, I think it was. I thought it was one worth mentioning for a lot of young fellas that obviously have watched Rocky, saw the battles up against Apollo Creed, get you interested in some boxing.
Interesting one. I actually had no idea that he had an NFL background. I only knew him as an actor. For me, obviously, Apollo Creed and the Dylan, you son of a bitch, the best handshake, just going in on Arnie's biceps. So rest in peace, Carl Weathers, and enjoy a cold one up there, courtesy of the Esky.
It was a bit interesting finding out because he played for John Madden at the time for the Raiders, and he played basically one season, about 8 games he started for them, but he was cut because he was too sensitive, was what Madden had told him.
Really?
So
too sensitive?
Yeah, I guess NFL in the 70s was a bit different. So he basically straight out of that went straight into acting and his acting career. And his 4th movie was Rocky. That really, I guess, kicked off his acting career.
How funny those sensitivities actually aided him in becoming a legitimate actor. And maybe Madden thought he wasn't cut out for the NFL, but he clearly was cut out for acting. So enjoy a cold run up there, Carl Weathers, you son of a bitch. I'm going to shout a beer. Or a green cordial. This bloke is certainly underage. There's a few that are sort of borderline that we've shouted before. This bloke definitely
100%
needs to have a green cordial, but he deserves a green cordial after an outstanding effort over in South Africa in an under-14s match. I'm talking about Josh Anderson. He made 357 not out. He had to retire with 11 overs to go, so he made 357 in 40 overs. So he must have been absolutely smashing the opposition to all corners of the park. And there's a photo that's doing the rounds of social media with him, bat raised, a little bit of sweat in the head. It doesn't seem like he's been labouring like Dean Jones or someone that's been out there for hours and hours and hours, but he does have 357 not to his name, so an incredible effort. I think 357 runs is more than I made in my entire junior career. I think he's done that in one in one session out in the middle. So well done, Josh Anderson. Keep an eye on that name, listeners, because certainly could be playing for South Africa in just a few years' time. So enjoy your green cordial, courtesy of the Esky, Josh Anderson.
Did you have any reason why you retired? Just to let the others have a bat?
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
11 overs.
I swear when we used to play, you had to retire at 50. So they thought, let him keep going, let him keep going.
Well, you've seen him like beach ball.
This
let
is his seventh 50. Maybe we need to let some of the other kids have a go.
Yeah.
That old participation award.
Gosh, incredible.
Yep.
Max, you got one?
Yeah. No, not really. So, I mean, obviously, perhaps you shouted an under 14-year-old. Sean, you shouted an actor. It's been a bit quiet in the sporting scenes the last couple of weeks, so I figured I'd probably just go straight to the mop of the week.
Straight to the mop. Let's go.
Straight to the mop. So for the mop, reoccurring from last potty, we've got the F1 back in the spotlight again. This
Team
time,
names?
Yep, we're looking at team names. So Steak Sauber, is in hot water at the moment, with Steak being the main sponsor, not holding a license within Switzerland, which is where Sauber is headed. Which means that they are being investigated by the Casino or Gambling Commission of the country. So I think it has a little bit to do with they're not allowed to advertise in the country. So they're getting investigated, meaning that Sauber, which was the first team, I believe, last season to make their team name changes, is now dropping their main sponsor from their team name at the moment. So yeah, bit of a weird one there. I didn't fully understand what was going on until I had to read through a few news articles. But yeah, I think it also has something to do with the whole fact that I think Steak is probably going to be the main sponsor for when Sauber is then bought out by Audi, which is the German company, I believe. So yeah, it's just a bit of a mess.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a 2-season sort of deal, I'm assuming. Until 2026, when Audi will take over probably the name rights of that team. So, I'm assuming they would have got a decent amount of cash kickback to be on the to have Steak Oz the team name. So,
yeah,
I'm assuming that's going to really hurt their bottom line a little bit after losing the Alfa Romeo deal. So, yeah, interesting times. They did go with a very interesting green coloured car with, of course, the carbon fibre, but.
I didn't mind it. It was probably one of the first cars revealed. There was a few other probably mop-worthy storylines in the F1 the last couple of weeks.
We can talk about those later on.
Yeah. I suppose we'll talk about it later on then.
Unusual for the F1. They're normally all over their shit, but yeah, it seems like there's going to be a bit of a legal battle ongoing here.
Quite possibly.
While we're on this, what do you think about some of the gambling in sport? Especially, Australians, they get the rappers being the degenerate sports gamblers. Like we're at the top pedestal for sports gambling. But I think my point being, with lead up to the Super Bowl, I've seen it more in other areas. So anything that targets, I guess, that 21 to 35 age demographic is getting, DraftKings ads and things like. Like I'm seeing it on YouTube all over the place. Like they're just getting content creators that focus on that groups and like, hey, do a placed ad in the middle of it for our DraftKings thing, and I'm like, fuck, I'm kind of getting sick of it. But we're also very used to it here because it's almost in every ad session is there's a sports bet or
that's it.
Bet with mates and all sorts of different kind of gimmicks.
I definitely think,
but I see it more now with the American audience kind of getting into like how we expand it to get it to everyone.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously going to see the advertising of gambling companies whenever you're watching sport. I think as they've pushed more into social media and how they've used social media and how that's translated back into mainstream media with like sort of the meme-worthy sort of advertising, sort of joking memes or whatever, has made it more relatable, so there's probably more awareness. I think big gambling companies sponsoring teams is probably a little bit on the nose. Yeah.
Well, that Visa, I guess Visa Cash App is slightly different, but it's still such a gross name. But it's
it's
the direct the gambling side of it. And I know that they're they've got their Super Bowl in Vegas, and it's one of the biggest weekends for betting in total. But it's to me, it just seems like over the top because, like for us, sports betting for the Australian sports betting is on Australian TV. You get it a lot on the free to air, and I guess for us on our streaming services, which is KO is the main one. But I guess for the US market, they broaden that. It's not just focused on, I guess, your cable TV. It's like they've got avenues into like we'll spend money, we'll do YouTube ads, we'll do heaps of YouTube ads, and we'll pay creators, all our different influencers and shit to be able to do it. It just seems like it's a magnitude more than what we expect. It just it seems like a lot.
It's strange, isn't it? Because we've been so accustomed to gambling and advertising.
We were joking about the Volk video from Sportsbet the other day, which is a classic little video. But yeah, same kind of
and
thing.
Obviously something's changed in the legislation over there in a few states in recent years, and Americans will do it bigger and better than anyone, and then you've just seen this incredible saturation of all the advertising. And they know their target audience, they know who's watching, and they know that's the best way to go about things. But they don't do things in halves, the Americans, that's for sure. And you like you said, it's nearly getting to the point where even as a sports fan, or I like to have a little flutter. You boys are kind of interested on the odds, but less so probably on the gambling side of things.
But when I'm watching sports, like I expect some sports gambling, like that's.
But it's
when I'm watching it, other shit,
it's non-stop. Isn't it?
And I'm watching a dude doing up car stuff on YouTube, and then he's just like, "Hey, I know it's a big weekend. Get your DraftKings." And I'm just like, "Fuck me, it's gone a lot further than I thought." Yeah. But that's the demographic. Like it's targeting me. Like it works. It's definitely there. But it's.
I mean, I suppose, like you said, with the legislative changes, it's an emerging market. Like
it's huge.
You have to hit it hard and fast, or else you're just going to lose your market.
But
share,
it's like it's something with their culture that is specifically different.
Yeah.
You look at the we're going deep here.
We're going
the pharmaceutical advertising when you're watching American TV, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? I don't want to take this, erectile dysfunction pill because of the 18 side effects that I just heard about.
You could die in 18 different ways.
And it's obviously it's a culturally different thing. Like they just once they're allowed to do something and advertise, they just go fucking ham. And we're seeing it now with sports betting and sports gambling.
I saw people.
Something we haven't seen, over there. It's only something that's novel and recent since they've changed legislation in only some states as well.
Well, it's not all the states, but I think there's a significantly more portion of the states that have allowed sports gambling recently than the other way around. But I think I've seen a lot of people, some Yanks, talking about, hey, are we importing some of the Australian gambling hype? But I think, like you say, yes, they are, and then they're timesing it by 1,000 to what they are. So I think the viewership numbers for the Super Bowl are going to be amazing. I think it's probably the biggest ever. I think that'll follow with the most gambling ever spent on a sporting event. 100%. And those numbers will blow people's minds.
Yep.
Segue. Let's go ahead.
Let's do it. It's start of the show. Let's talk about some NFL football.
Oh! He broke his ankles!
Super Bowl 58 is upon us. The Chiefs will take on the 49ers. It is a rematch of Super Bowl 54. Yep. We're going to get stuck into the preview in just a second, but let's go back and see how the teams came here. The Chiefs had to do it the hard way. They had to go to Buffalo the week before and win in that incredibly cold game. They did it. Then they go to Baltimore and they beat the Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium. Cold, but not as cold as the previous weeks. That's 6 consecutive AFC Championship games for the Chiefs. They've won 4 of them. And the only two quarterbacks, I should say, that's beaten them Tom Brady, you might have heard of him, and Joe Burrow. So pretty incredible run the Chiefs are on here.
Yes.
Let's look at the game. The Chiefs absolutely marched down the field on their first drive. Travis Kelce, significant other of Taylor Swift, getting into the end zone. We're going to talk about Travis because...
I think he broke the playoff reception record.
Yep.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he took the touchdown record as well.
He's
from,
got
from
bunch,
Gronk and Brady. So
yeah, a bunch of postseason records now.
And I think his connection with Patty broke the Brady and Gronk connections as well in playoffs. So, yeah, statistically, probably greatest ever tight end. I think he...
Certainly in the conversation, isn't he?
Yeah. Like maybe some of those really big records that Gonzalez has might be a
the
little
longevity kind of stuff.
The longevity kind of stuff. But, yeah, for a talented tight end, he's been great. And it's only really been the middle to back end of his career where he's had Patty Mahomes. So he also had, many years where... has he been in Kansas City his whole time? So
yeah, I don't think he's played anywhere else.
So,
Yeah.
It's interesting as well because we're talking about it being a down year for him in terms of his stats.
Yep.
Just pulled up short of 1,000 on the season. Just the 5 receiving touchdowns. I think that's the least since his rookie year.
Yep.
But he's heating up at the right time because he had a touchdown in this one, the first touchdown, and he had 2 the week before in Buffalo. We'll have a look at his numbers when we preview the Super Bowl, but certainly in the GOAT conversation and certainly getting hot at the right time of the year.
Yep.
Zay Flowers evened it up, made it 7 apiece there in the first quarter. Chiefs get the go-ahead with Isaiah Pacheco before the half to go up 14-7. It was pretty funny seeing Lamar Jackson doing the old Nelson Muntz, throwing it to himself. You don't see it a whole lot in the NFL. This was incredible showcase of Lamar's talent and natural ability. Ball gets batted down at the line, pops up, he catches it, and like nothing.
15 yards.
Yeah, nothing's happened. 13 yards. Thanks for coming.
I saw a bunch of like Tom Brady jokes with Giselle was protecting him, saying like he can't pass to himself, and then cuts to Lamar passing to himself and running for 15. So he's a different beast.
It was 17-7 Chiefs at halftime. We kind of had the feeling that it might have turned into a bit of a shootout. It was completely opposite in the second half, and we have to talk about the Kansas City defense when we preview the Super Bowl. Those Zay Flowers mistakes certainly costly. The fumble on the goal line, the taunting.
Snead, I think was the difference there. One, he knocked that ball out to prevent the touchdown.
Yeah, Beesdick,
Beesdick in it,
short of the goal line.
Which probably ties his game up and sends it to overtime. But, that was, I guess, the difference. And I feel like the Ravens probably played the worst game they had all year, with blown assignments and also penalties. It was interesting going into this that the referee crew was also well known as the only referee crew in the NFL that gives the home team penalises the home team more than it does the away team. So which, of course, happened in this game.
Read.
Conspiracies.
The script to get the Chiefs, Taylor Swift to the Super Bowl, all that sort of chat.
We've got to talk about that because I'm not one to tinfoil hat and the NFL's in on it.
Have you seen the joke that the CEO for CBS has come out and said, I've seen the script. It's a double overtime game for the Super Bowl. So everyone's just like, if it goes to double overtime, it's just going to blow up. But, he's tongue-in-cheek joking that, hey, it's scripted, but...
I'll believe that aliens are real before I believe the NFL is scripted.
But Taylor Swift in her rookie year going to the Super Bowl, jeez, what have they written? What have they sorted out?
You have to think about down here, right, on our free-to-air television, which is beautiful, and you should all tune in to free-to-air to get your US sports news, said no one ever. Having said that, how much intrigue is there down under because Taylor Swift is involved?
How much intrigue worldwide, especially with an entirely different demographic than usual.
Imagine
is interested in the NFL.
In Asia, for example, Taylor's over in Japan at the moment.
Yeah.
How much intrigue that brings in for the Asian market, the European market?
Was it the Japanese embassy that released a statement, or the US embassy in Japan released a statement saying, yes, we can confirm that Taylor Swift will be able to make a flight from Japan to Las Vegas and still make the game?
No visa troubles?
No. She's going back to her home country, so I don't think so. But
yeah, true. She jets all over the place. She's a PJ fan.
Like the fact that you've got...
She's suing the dude that tracks her plane around at the moment because she uses a private jet a lot. So
Anyways, I'm not one to buy into the rhetoric normally, but it is an interesting story, and it's kind of a statement on modern society, isn't it? That one person can garner so much intrigue for an event, in a sporting arena where lots and lots and lots of eyeballs are on it already. But the fact that a global megastar is dating one of the players puts it even more on the map. Probably more so outside of the US market. Obviously, it's big for the US
in
market,
the US market,
but outside, it's even
definitely. She's a global sensation.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, people have been tracking how she affects economies to various countries when she shows up, and it's a significant boost for all the things because people want to get her to events, spend, and etc. So she's a $1 billion industry in herself. So
it's a love story with the cash money. That's pretty bad.
So to finish on this
song.
AFC game, I think wasn't Lamar's best game, but I feel like big credit to Spags on the Chiefs side. I'm going to oversimplify what they did on defense, but it really was stack the line with as much as you could, fill the holes, and kind of force Lamar to pass the ball a lot more. And I guess in those weather conditions and trying to outgun Mahomes is a recipe for not successful for you and more for us. And Lamar, to his credit, went very, very close. We said, almost tied that game up and put it over the end. But I think full credit to them to make it really hard for them to run the ball, not give him any escape lanes, and basically force him to stay in the pocket and try to beat him, to get him to beat them with his arm. So, and I think they played well defensively to hold them to 10 points.
And so much credit there to Spags, the defensive coordinator, for shutting him down. But then so much of the conversation then goes back on Lamar, and you're 2-4 in playoffs now, and he's a 2-time MVP, but he can't get the job done when it counts. Yada, yada, yada. How much of that do you buy into, or do you think he was doing the best he could with what he had around him?
Yeah, and they also goes to the Ravens. They could have changed things. Come out of the half, they saw how they've been played. May change it up and go to quick hitting pass games. You essentially need to move those dudes off your line if they're stacking it. Try some other things to free it up to give them some room to take some shots. I think they did that a little bit, but I think they could have been a little bit better too.
100%. He was trying to do the Nelson Muntz. He was trying to put the team on his back and throw it to himself.
Yeah,
but
I don't think Lamar was the reason they lost that game.
I agree.
I think it was a poor team performance overall, and against the Chiefs, who themselves only scored 17 points, haven't been blowing teams out. They aren't the powerhouse offense they were, but they've been playing well enough on offense and played probably the best defense they've had of Mahomes' career while he's been there. So, that's definitely helping them getting through to the Super Bowl.
And that is the difference with them this year, and we'll get into it in the Super Bowl preview, in that it's not the Chiefs of yesteryear where they're going to go out and probably score 30 points plus.
Yep.
It's a more sort of traditional championship-winning team where they've just got a nasty defense, a quarterback who is possibly going to go down as one of the GOATs. But outside of him and his tight end, no superstars on that offense.
Yeah,
they're going with the young, inexperienced receiving core. Pacheco's been playing his ass off, but he's a low-round draft pick. It's not like they've got a CMC or a world-class offensive line. They're just making do essentially with quarterback skill and a really good tight end. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. It's certainly. It's the same Chiefs, but they've got a different feel this year than what they have in years past.
Agree.
Let's jump over to the NFC Championship game. It felt like America, and even outside of America, was going for the Lions.
Yep.
They started so well at Levi Stadium. They got a 14-0 first quarter up, and you thought, geez, is it going to be the Lions taking on the Chiefs? That was opening night.
Well, was it 24-14 or 24-10 or something at one point?
It was 24-7 at halftime.
Yeah.
49ers, they did against Packers. They played from behind. They did against the Lions. They
Didn't panic.
They can win these games. As a Detroit, putting yourselves in the shoes of a Detroit fan, was it disappointing for the way that it all played out, or
I would think so, definitely. To me, kind of
Yeah.
maybe whatever they did at halftime just didn't work, and whether that's they took the proverbial foot off the pedal and just gave 49ers a sniff, and they took all the momentum back, and they just couldn't steal it back, even scoring late to. Maybe potentially get back into this game, but it was too little by then. Like they'd, gave all the second half momentum to the 49ers, and that's just the window they needed. They got everything they needed and managed to get back into this game.
It was a shame because it was a far more entertaining game than the AFC Championship game.
It was.
Maybe scoreline did both justice. You did have that feeling in the fourth quarter that the 49ers, once they got that 10-point lead, that they'd hold on to it for sure.
Yep.
We have to talk about this 49ers offense, and it's kind of interesting in the way that it's going to go into the Super Bowl. This 49ers team is renowned in years past by just having a so-so offense bolstered by a really good defense.
Yep.
There's numbers-wise, there's an argument for Brock Purdy being the best quarterback in the league this year. Didn't get a look in the MVP, but his numbers, you could argue that. Certainly have the best running back, one of the best tight ends, have got one of the better offensive lines in the league. This could be the hottest offense in the league at the moment.
Yeah, well, when you throw Debo and
Ayuk in there,
they've got plenty of good receiving options. So, but that's not to sneeze that the defense is still good. They've still got Bosa and Chase Young on that side.
Fred Warner.
Yeah, exactly. They've got talent all over the defense too. So they're since the start of the season, they were a team built to make it to the Super Bowl. It's just whether they could fulfill that promise and get there, and they have. So they had to do it hard against the Lions. They started probably a little bit slow themselves in that game, so they'll have to be aware of that going up against the Chiefs. They don't want to give the Chiefs a 24 point lead, like get off, let them have the start. So maybe the Lions shocked them a little bit, using their speed dudes. So Williams break out for a big long touchdown, and the way they play that kind of game up tempo maybe shocked them a little bit, but. Maybe credit to them, second half adjustments. They came out really, really locked down the lines. I think they barely had any yards in that third quarter, and really couldn't get anything going until the middle of the fourth to even get back in that game. That is for the Lions. So full credit, I think, to that team and that staff.
The other sort of comforting thing for Detroit fans as well.
So young.
They're so young, so young. So Jared Goff's in his prime right now, but Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a second-year running back next year. Jameson Williams is only going to get better. Sam Laporte is only going to get better. Yep. On the defense, Aiden Hutchinson's only going to get better. They're so set for the next 4 or 5 years. Now, you don't get these long windows in the NFL.
Exactly.
It's
they're in their window. They need
it's constantly changing, but the next
2 years,
few years, it's certainly the world is their oyster. That's for sure.
Agree.
All right, so there were two left. The Kansas City Chiefs will take on the 49ers Monday our time, Sunday over there in the States. Super Bowl 58, Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. It is a rematch of the Super Bowl that we saw just a few years ago.
Bosa's rookie season.
Yeah, Bosa's rookie year. I think I was having a look. There's not a whole heap of players that are left over from either side from that Super Bowl. Mahomes and Kelsey come to mind on the 49ers side of things. Bosa, Fred Warner. There's not heaps. Trent Williams, but it's about a handful each. The Chiefs, they're trying to win 3 from 4. They're trying to really establish this Chiefs dynasty. The handover pretty much straight from the Patriots dynasty. Of the mid 2000s.
It's crazy to think they potentially would have 2 more Super Bowls if it wasn't for Tom Brady, because he beat him with the Buccaneers, and then also knocked him out in the AFC Championship with the Patriots. So,
Brady to them is the Eli Manning Giants to Brady. weird how things sort of work out. But anyways, they're going for 3 out of 4. They do have 3 championships total. They won one of their first Super Bowls, I think, back in the 60s. The 49ers, they're looking to join the Steelers and the Pats with 6 championships total. They did have a perfect record back in the mid-90s of 4-0 when they're at Super Bowls, but they've lost the last 3, I believe. They did lose, obviously, to the Chiefs in 2020. Lost to the Ravens in 2012. They also, for a very proud franchise, actually haven't won the Super Bowl for close to 30 years. Steve Young threw for 6 touchdowns back in 1994. And there's some eerie similarities between this 49ers team and the 1998 Broncos team, Sean. I couldn't quite get our graphic in because of formatting issues, but I've got a few of the things there.
Yeah, so, well, there's the connection with the coach, of course.
Yes.
So Mike Shanahan was the coach of the 98 Broncos, and then Kyle Shanahan's the coach for the 49ers. Brian Greasy was a QB, he was backup QB, and is now the QB coach at the 49ers. Anthony Lynn was a running back. He's now the RB coach. And then, of course, you've got Ed McCaffrey, was one of the wide receivers, and now his son is on CMC, of course, is the running back. So, a bit of flavour there with a connection with the Broncos there. That's probably where I lean towards. I'm going to be on team 49ers. That, and, of course, fuck the Chiefs because the AFC West. So, yeah, exactly.
Kyle Shanahan is trying to join his father, Mike, in winning a Super Bowl.
He's 0-3, I believe, against Andy Reid as well.
And that's got to play into things.
Yeah, how good is Andy Reid as a coach? Yeah, Bill gets all the credit, but Andy Reid hasn't been too bad himself.
Well, yeah, because he won one with Philly, didn't he? So, and he's won 2 already. So he's going for his 4th, and it'd be a bad night to be a cheeseburger if Andy Reid gets a win on Sunday. There's never been a father-son duo in any major US sport that's coached teams to championships, so they're trying to be that. Bit of an ESPN fake stat there, but anyways, it'd be a nice thing to share with your father. How do we see this playing out, boys? Let's go into our full-on preview of the game. The 49ers start as favourite, $1.77, the Chiefs $2.10. When I look at that, I get the feeling that the Chiefs might be a little bit of value, given they've all been there, they've all done that. Yes, they're not quite the Chiefs that we've been accustomed to, but they've gone on the road and they've won these two road games. For mine, assessing it, I would have the Chiefs slightly ahead.
Yeah, well, they're definitely playing their best football. I think being a bit more set at wide receivers really helped them. Kind of kicking Tony to the curb and elevating Rice to wide receiver 1 has made it pretty clear of what the direction is, and I think that's kind of opened Kels up a bit more as well.
100%.
So I think they've definitely been playing better on offense. I'm pretty sure left guard Joe Tooney is out. He's not going to play in this, so bit of a big loss for them. But outside of that, they're pretty much good to go. Hard to say. I would like the 49ers to win. I think they're definitely talented. They're probably, of the two teams, I'd say the more talented roster. But it's hard to go past the quarterback. So Brock Purdy's definitely been doing a great job, but can he sling it with Mahomes in Vegas in the Dome? I'm not too sure.
It's sitting.
Well, I want to pick the 49ers to win. I want the 49ers to win. But, using my head and comparing what I've seen all season long in football, I think it's going to be a tough night. We're getting 2 of the better defenses coming up against 2 of the better offensives so far in this playoff series. Is the difference that the Chiefs haven't been as good offensively? Do you give a tick to the 49ers there a little bit? They're pretty bloody close. So, like you said, is it the big game experience? Chiefs have been there. The coach has been there. I think take Kyle, for example, I don't think he's been back to this. Has he been back to Super Bowl since the Falcons got routed when he was OC? I don't think so. I think they've been knocked out a couple of times. So, does that play into it a little bit? Do you give a tick back to the Chiefs then for coaching skill set?
He was there. He was the head coach when they lost to
So he's
the Chiefs.
He's been to 2 Super Bowls then and lost both. So there's that as well.
I don't know.
Some thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if you go to storyline, like, it'd be good to see Brock Purdy and the team that the 49ers have put together over the last couple of seasons win it. But looking at the season as it is, you don't really follow the storylines. Like, it would have been great for the Lions to come through. They didn't make it. I think Kansas City's just been there too many times. The team's just too well-rounded. They know what they're doing. They've got the experience. I can't see the 49ers getting past them.
I'm going to go with you 100%. This is pattern recognition, boys. We saw this with Tom Brady, and there was years where you're like, the Patriots aren't as good this time round. Yes, Brock Purdy has been arguably the best quarterback in the league this year. Yes, he's good against the blitz. Yes, his QBR is amazing, 113 or something.
Yeah,
they can win from behind. They've got the best running back in the league, sure. But you're going up against someone that's going to go in the conversation for the greatest person to ever play this game, period, throwing to one of the best blokes that's ever caught the football, period. They've gone on the road and won against the odds, been underdogs both times, and for mine, that just plays leaps and bounds into the fact that I think the Chiefs are going to go out and win their 3rd Super Bowl. Look, you can't say things are sure things in sports ever, especially when it's a narrow underdog. But for mine, I think everything's pointing in the way of the Chiefs.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Like, you look at the defensive structures there, and I'm trying to think of, like, what would the game plans be, and you think of Karlaftis and Chris Jones, the way they rush the pass is different to how Bosa and Young does it. And then, there's some rhetoric about Young taking too many plays off, and that, maybe he'll be more of a rotation guy in this. Some storylines there, but they, of course, rush the quarterback, I think, slightly differently. So slightly different structures there. Maybe that gives Brock slightly more time than maybe he's expecting, and, does it help him, or maybe he prefers to be a little bit more under pressure? Like, it'll be interesting. I think 49ers front seven's really, really good. Maybe I'd give the slight edge, the secondary, to the Chiefs.
Slide?
Yeah, I think they've been doing a really good job, their secondary. So
they've got an all-pro McDuffie and Snead, who is arguably an all-pro. Yeah. They shut down the Ravens at their own in their own house to 7 points, and so much of that came from their secondary. It's arguably the best secondary in football.
Yep.
I think the defenses, you can call them a push because of the 49ers front seven, but the secondary of the Chiefs is far, far better, I think.
Yeah. So I wonder if, with that, with Greenlaw and Warner there, that does that take Kels out of the game more, and does that bring Rice into the game more? And we're expecting, Rice, is he going to be, does he end up having some massive game and ends up being the MVP kind of the game?
That'd be good odds.
Yeah, because I've seen some rhetoric about that. Like, you look at game scripts and you think like, hey, Kels might be double teamed by the linebackers and not get a lot of room. Like, he might get some ball, but maybe they need to push it to Rice a little bit more, because there's, like you said, there's options there on the outside versus that secondary. They're more than there is in the middle of the field. So, but. Having said that, will Bosa and Young give him enough time, Armstead, etc., give him enough time to be able to do that? And do they limit their run game because that's 7, and they force Mahomes, to throw the ball 50 times, etc.? I feel like who scores first probably might win, because I'm not sure if the chase is going to have the firepower to chase as well in this compared to other games.
Yeah, it's turnovers.
Yeah.
It's cliche.
Whoever turns the ball over first is,
Yep.
I'm sure the 49ers, given the fact that they haven't scored first in either of their
would
last
be
2 games, that they'll be confident going behind. But for mine, it's the Chiefs. And again, we've got to go back to we're comparing, and we've kind of called the defense as a push. CMC and behind that offensive line, the 49ers have a clear advantage, a clear advantage in the run game, and then you could argue that their receiving talent is also is also better or at least more experienced than the Chiefs.
I think,
I just think Mahomes, Kels, Andy Reid. That's all. That's it. It wouldn't matter who else is around.
well, I think maybe throw Spags in there because I think they could go.
and
They
Spags.
could go look at that Lions game and go, "Why'd they start so slow? What can we implement from that?" Because that's the reason. If we can make them chase, then that takes CMC a bit more out of the game. And then also look at what did the Ravens do to them? How did they get him to throw 4 picks? What were they doing? Like, they're kind of like things they could probably try to implement some of those schemes, which would be in their favour. Whereas I think you flip at that and you go, well, what games did you see where the Chiefs kind of struggled? And you'd say, well, they didn't score a lot in a lot of games. They didn't really get blown out by a lot of teams. And, I think they've just been playing really good, gritty football. So I think you just have to play them better without the mistakes, like you said. So, for them, it's like, well, as long as we don't turn over the ball, we might actually just win this game.
Yeah, 100%.
So, either way, it's going to be a great game of football.
Hopefully it's nice and close. And
do we have Usher at halftime?
Usher, I believe.
Yep.
Hopefully it's something like last year, which was one of the best Super Bowls I've ever seen in my life. Bit of a shootout, went down to it. Actually.
Shit, if we get the double overtime, we're happy with that.
We'll see what happens. Monks, you've got a few odds there. Let's go for...
What do you want?
You had MVP.
MVP.
Can you run us
MVP.
through those
Mahomes would
MVP
be
odds?
number one.
Yeah, Mahomes is favourite at $2.40.
I think Kels.
Brock Purdy at
Purdy,
$3.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Outside of Brock Purdy, we've got Christian McCaffrey at $5.
Yep.
Kelsey is at $13.
That's cash.
Yeah.
That's a bit of fun.
Yep. And then rounding up to top 5, we've got Debo at $21. Pacheco's at $21 as well.
Few little fun ones that I can see down the...
Where was Rice? I said
further
where
down.
was Rice?
Yeah, Rice is 46. Kittle 61.
Yep.
Bosa 71.
When was the last time a defensive player? I think was it Von Miller? I think we looked this up last year.
Yeah,
Pretty
Von
did.
Miller.
See Von in 2015.
Might have been.
Hasn't been a lot in recent memories, but there has been a few. I was also looking at this. There was that Seahawks guy that no one remembers his name. I don't know. I mean that with respect. Don't bash
Bobby
me.
Wagner. Brady.
So Von Miller, Malcolm Smith.
Yeah,
Malcolm Smith.
Corner. No,
So-
linebacker.
None of us remembered his name.
But the last defensive player was Von Miller.
Von Miller, 2016.
Yeah, from the
Outside,
Super Bowl 50.
You also got Sam Darnold at 326.
I saw this. This is
yeah.
Purdy goes down.
Purdy goes down.
from the 2018
But-
draft class,
Yeah.
which had Lamar, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen, and of course himself.
Sam Darnold, first one to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, first one in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
There you go.
What a fun
Of course,
fact
it's,
there.
of course, it's back up, but
Blown up at 326.
Yep.
well, you never know. Hopefully, Purdy doesn't do his elbow like he did last year, and they need a backup quarterback to go in there.
And just in terms of how quarterback dominant this is, going back to 2010, 2 linebackers have got it and 2 receivers have got it. Outside of that, it's all quarterbacks.
Cooper and Julian. Yeah, interesting.
I'm going Chiefs. You're going
Niners.
Niners, Bees Dick. You've got the casting vote.
Yeah, can't go past Chiefs. Yep.
Whatever happens, enjoy. If you're down in Australia, hopefully you got your good sicky excuse sorted, or you've taken the leave well in advance.
That's it.
All right, Lamar Jackson did win the MVP by a landslide, 49 votes. Josh Allen got the measly 1 vote there. I feel like it should have been closer than that. We did everyone that follows football had the strong inkling that Lamar was going to win his second MVP. What are our thoughts around it?
Yeah, if you just look at pure numbers, Allen kind of blew him out of the park for a lot of it. So, you ask a lot of questions there. And you'd also throw Dak in that conversation for guys that had really good numbers.
Yeah, for Dak not to get a single vote.
But I think with Allen getting that 1 vote, I might have to fact check me on this. Lamar would have been the only 2-time unanimous MVP. So because he got unanimous in 2019, I think it was, whenever he won the last one. Actually, no, it wouldn't have been then. It would have been 20.
I think it was 19 season.
Yeah, it was 19. Yeah, because it was 2018 he was drafted. Yes. So it is what it is. It's a MVP is quarterback driven. I think CMC should have won it, but that's just my personal preference.
We've spoken about it for the back end of the NFL season. When the guy that won it had a considerably lower performing year than what he did when he won it,
and considering Allen had 15 more touchdowns than he did on the season as well.
And Dak,
you can get his team was dominant, and he was dominant in the game, so they were dominant against good teams, and they beat every team over 500. They were really good. So he's deserving, I guess, from that angle. But for a guy I think CMC was more of a most valuable player to the 49ers than Lamar was to the Ravens.
CMC was certainly at his position head and shoulders above anyone else, whereas you can certainly make the argument from a numbers perspective that, Dak threw the most touchdowns and least intercepts and Lamar didn't have the passing numbers anywhere near what any of these guys had. Obviously, no one runs the football from the quarterback position like Lamar Jackson does.
Josh Allen was pretty good if you look at his numbers.
Well, from a touchdown perspective, yes. But if it's,
his yardage was pretty comparable.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. For mine, I feel like Lamar Jackson had the best season out of everyone there, with the caveat that it's quarterback loaded.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think the most valuable
and that's the
player
why
at their position was CMC.
Yeah, and that's why he wins Offensive Player of the Year award. That's a shoe in here. It's you're not a quarterback, but you're the best offensive player. You should have been an MVP, so you get that award. So that's how it feels to me sometimes. But I think well deserved for that award for him.
Yep.
What about Defensive Player of the Year?
Yeah, a bit of a head scratcher in that one. And the graphic I threw in there is actually from JJ Watt. He's just saying, I'm not sure what more his brother TJ should have done to be able to win that. Considering every major statistic for a pass rusher, he was better than Myles Garrett this year. I think Myles was on track to be Defensive Player of the Year and then got injured.
Yep.
I feel like the voters forgot that he got injured and didn't have a good back end of the year. And TJ really took him over. So I guess by his own standards as well, this was kind of a down year for TJ Watt, but he was still, I think, far out the better defensive player. But again, I think it was kind of a down year for defensive players statistically as well, compared to the previous years that some of the other ones had won what they had done to win it. Because, it's a hard league and most of these guys were banged up throughout the year and they missed a couple of games. So,
having said that, 19 sacks for TJ Watt, ahead of Myles Garrett on every single measurable.
Pressures, QBs, hurries,
tackles for loss,
tackles, intercepts, forced fumbles, even scored a touchdown. So, a bit of a head scratcher on that one.
Tell you what, if you want to have a brother that comes in and fights your fights for you,
JJ was a good one.
Than JJ, former Defensive Player of the Year himself.
I saw someone that was saying they thought the reasoning was that Myles Garrett is a bigger presence on defense, that he impacts the game more than what TJ does. And I don't know.
He's not getting the stats. He's at least helping the rest of his team get the stats as well.
Combined
team stats.
But that's a team award.
But is this team doing as well as they could
I would have thought 5 more touchdowns, scoring touchdowns, more forced fumbles would be more beneficial for your team. But
it's a telling graphic, the one that we have in front of us, where it's every single thing is green. TJ Watt, every single thing is red. Myles Garrett, and Garrett wins it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do they take the injury into account? Should it be a per game basis?
So what? Most dominating player over half the season.
Wasn't half.
14 games.
80%.
It's not the Joe Embiid award. So
true that. We'll get into that in just a second.
Spicy.
I'm going to agree with you. I think on paper and objectively, TJ Watt should be the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, and he was still. It wasn't like he was not dominant this year. Like he played really well. Main reason why the Steelers still managed to get over 500, sneak into the playoffs, was because TJ Watt was playing for him.
100%.
Is there something to it, exactly the same argument that we just had with Lamar Jackson? Is there just something else that they take into consideration with these votings where
X factor?
I don't know. TJ Watt won it last year, didn't he? So Do they just want something different?
Rotation, you reckon?
Yeah.
Miles Garrett's going out with Taylor Swift. And it's all rigged.
It's all scripted.
I honestly don't know. I have no qualms with Lamar Jackson winning the MVP. I think his $1.01, is testament to that, albeit in a quarterback biased league.
Yep.
When I look at the numbers, and I'm trying to remember week by week through the season, yes, I thought Myles Garrett was killing it up until the injury. But when you look at it in retrospect and in hindsight, I think TJ Watt was the best player on the defensive side of the ball. We haven't even spoken about Michael Parsons, who had reasonable numbers there. I'm not saying that he was better than either of them, but I'm just saying he needs to be in the conversation.
Yeah, yeah, and he was number 3 essentially in voting. He polled 80 votes, I think. I think it was like 230 for Miles and 140 odd for TJ.
Anyways, that's that. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year. CMC spoke about it. Offensive Player of the Year, arguably should have been the MVP. Offensive Rookie of the Year, CJ Stroud. No qualms there. Although Puka Nacua had a pretty good year.
I think Puka Nacua he broke all the rookie records. Like, what's a brother got to do? Like,
CJ was incredible though.
Yeah. Yes, but for a quarterback, it's
How many records did he break?
Yeah, it was good quarterback numbers. Like, it's like, yes,
He took the Texans to the fucking playoffs.
Yeah, like I'm not saying he had a good season. He had good stats, but he's not out here breaking every rookie record there was for a quarterback. So, whereas Nacua, that's what he was doing. I think again, skill positions hard done by. I would have made him Rookie of the Year.
Will Anderson, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Any arguments there?
I think that's pretty fair, though. In comparison, I think Will Anderson's a megastar in waiting.
Agreed. Joe Flacco over DeMar Hamlin. Personally, I like this. Kudos to DeMar Hamlin for staying alive.
It was interesting because Hamlin got more first place votes than Flacco did. And Flacco got more of the second and third place, which gave him enough to pip him.
Yeah.
I didn't know
again, a pretty close run battle here, but. I wonder if that fake punt sealed the deal for Hamlin, unfortunately.
Not his fault.
But yeah, give credit to Flacco. He's QB5 this year for the Browns. Come in and replace all the other guys that got injured and then play really well. Some props there. I think he did pretty good.
Incredible. Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think some names are very familiar to us from sort of our generation of what we've been following in football. Dwight Feeney, Devin Hester, Andre Johnson, Julius Peppers and Patrick Willis. Reggie Wayne was a little bit disappointed he didn't make it in, but
Next year.
Yeah, I guess, they already took 2 wide receivers in this one. One technically there for as a returner. Devin Hester is probably the greatest ever returner in the NFL.
Yep.
So, I think he'll probably be there in the future. And then they took 2 seniors. Steve McMichael, I did look this up. He played for the Raiders. He actually had a pretty good career for the Raiders. And, of course, my boy Randy from the Denver Broncos finally makes it in. Was the inside linebacker for the Orange Crush for many a time. And well deserved to be there in the Hall of Fame.
The Pro Bowl did occur during the week. Is it becoming less and less interesting to you? Because it certainly is to me. Yeah,
well, statistically, I think they reported 8% down on viewership. I think it's still fun. Eli's beat his brother again. So Peyton lost this one. The NFC won. So they got 0-2 in this competition. They did have an international flag football tournament, which was pretty good. For us, the Australian team was out there competing in it. Bit hard to get any news or results out of that, but that was interesting.
Olympics in 4 years' time, but will be an Olympic event.
Yep.
Senior Bowl as well.
Yeah, Senior Bowl happened. Spencer Rattler was MVP after throwing 4 passes. Looked pretty solid in his go. Bo Nix also played in this, was pretty solid in the game too. And Penix didn't play. He trained all week, but didn't play in the game, which was kind of interesting. But at least he got himself out there in front of everyone else. So Senior Bowl was pretty interesting, I think, week for the seniors. Me as a draft nufty was pretty interested in how they're progressing. And for Rattler, it kind of showed, he still has that elite talent, off-script playmaking ability that he's well known for. Hasn't been in the conversation with the top 5, 6 quarterbacks for this, but it's that kind of project quarterback maybe in the mid to late rounds would be interesting to jump on.
All the talent in the world. Anyone that's seen the QB1 show on Netflix saw him as a high schooler and was one of the number one prospects coming out of high school into college. Didn't quite have the college career that he would have hoped for, but I think he will get a late round bone thrown his way, and who knows? Brock Purdy and Tom Brady say hi.
Yeah, and with this quality output in this game, he stocks up. So people are going back, reevaluating what he did. What was he limited by some of the teams, etc., that he was playing on. They might bump him up a couple of rounds and you go mid-tier.
Commanders have got Cliff Kingsbury as offensive coordinator.
Yeah, after they filled their last head coach position with Dan Quinn. That was the only one we hadn't covered. So they've got their staff. But the interesting story about getting Cliff, of course, is his connection with Williams. The thinking is, the reports are they want to trade up one spot to one with the Bears to get Williams to be their quarterback. And then the rumour is if they can't, they'll take Harrison at 2 and try to trade their second round pick for Fields. That's, of course, if Williams goes 1 to the Bears. So that's kind of where they're thinking their planning is going forward for their ball club.
My personal feeling is that the Bears will stay with Justin Fields, trade their pick, and I think that Caleb Williams will go to the Commanders, I think.
It was pretty interesting. Brian Urlacher had an interesting quote during the Super Bowl week because, of course, they're doing all the media in that. And he basically said, if you're still questioning if he's the guy, then he's not the guy. So, former Bears player, maybe thinking that Justin Fields is on his way out.
Interesting.
It's going to be an interesting draft season. That is for sure.
It's probably the most interesting draft in recent memory.
Well, it's very heavy quarterback. There's a lot of potential options, and there's plenty of teams that would like to have another stab in the dark at trying to get a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And considering, I think we looked at it, Purdy was the only quarterback that wasn't a first round pick in the playoffs this year.
Monks, you got some draft props there. It's pretty short for Caleb Williams.
Yeah. So this is just for the number 1 pick overall. Williams is $1.06 with Drake May. Yeah,
Drake should be 2 and Daniels should be 3 in theory.
But Marvin Harrison's shorter than Jaden Daniels, but it's very quarterback heavy.
Yeah.
And again, that doesn't stipulate which team they end up. It's just the...
Who's picking 3? Patriots. So,
yep.
They potentially need a quarterback, so that's the thought there too. Yeah.
But according to the bookies, it'll be Caleb Williams. It's just which team does he go to?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Righto, that's one of our longer NFL segments. Love it, but just before the Super Bowl, one of the biggest events on planet Earth. I'm going Chiefs. You're maybe going 49ers. Monkeys maybe going Chiefs. Who knows? Who cares? Let's hope it's a good game.
It's a good game.
And get on your Taylor Swift markets.
Do you think she'll get more television time than Usher will?
No. There's some good ones. So, will she be shown more than Travis Kelce catches the ball? Possibly. There's all kinds of weird markets out there.
Yeah. So they're
the proposal. $10 for a proposal to happen.
Yep. Overs, unders for...
Is there a Kels retirement? I think if they win, he'll retire.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah.
And propose.
Maybe. I don't know. The over-unders for how many times you'll see Taylor Swift during the Super Bowl game is 7.5.
Oh, easy. Cash money.
Cash money.
You're smashing overs there?
100%.
Yeah, I reckon overs there too.
Definitely.
Person shot... That's
because they show her every time he gets a catch. So he had 11 catches in the last game. So, it's definitely going to be over 7.
What's going on with these markets here? Brittany Mahomes, $1.42. Donna Kelsey, $1.57 for the first person shown next to Taylor Swift. Surely one of them needs to be over $2. What the hell is going on here?
Well, both there.
There needs to be an investigation.
I did see...
if they get shown together, maybe they've taken that into account. Brittany Mahomes has come way in. Damn it. Should have jumped on it.
She's doing a Sports Illustrated cover calendar shoot, whatever you want to call it. Upcoming as well. Mother of 2, etc.
I thought Sports Illustrated was...
Going in the toilet, but they're obviously still taking pictures.
Interesting.
Got to make money somehow.
Cash in while they can.
All right, enjoy your Super Bowl Monday down here, or if you're listening internationally, enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. We are pumped for the big game. Right, let's talk some hoops.
Curry sets, fires, puts it up, bang!
We're going to go through in our usual way of running through the East and the West, but obviously a big week in terms of trade deadline finishing up and the All-Stars upcoming. So Celtics still lead in the East. Not a big trade window for them, but they're the first team to 40 wins. Jason Tatum and Kristaps Porzingis dominant today in their win over the Wizards. The Cavs, I think we need to start taking them pretty seriously because they're second.
Didn't you write them off
East.
after they were injured?
I didn't say write them off. I think I certainly said it would be hard after those injuries, and they've certainly proved me wrong.
Yep.
It is it's February, so
Still early days.
so we won't get too far ahead of ourselves. They've lost 2 games this year, which is incredibly impressive, and perhaps more impressive. They've beaten the Bucks 3 out of 4 of their matchups, so they've got the juju over the Bucks, that's for sure.
Bucks haven't been doing too good recently.
No, certainly haven't been going great with Doc Rivers at the helm. It is early days in the Doc Rivers tenure.
I saw they were 1-4 with him. They played today. Did they win?
They did play. No, I don't think they did play today.
It was yesterday.
Because
I saw Pat was there in the. Well, that was their big news. They got Pat Beverly.
And then traded. They did play today. I'm trying to think because I put on a multi and I think I left them out of it.
Because I saw
they played the Hornets.
It was one of the
they won.
They won.
Comfortably.
Yeah.
Because it was one of the Lopez brothers was reading a book on the sideline because they just traded him.
Robin Lopez, yes, was reading a book.
It was funny visuals.
I wonder what book he was reading. The subtle art of not giving a fuck comes to mind. I don't know. History, 1,000 years history of Russia. That was what was going over my mind. This year.
Bro, you just got to watch the interview and you get all of it.
I've been. That's why it came to mind. I was fact checking this motherfucker. Anyways, I digress. So they get Pat Beverly, 35-year-old journeyman, but really only in the last few years he's become the journeyman. My mind, him at the Clippers,
he has trade value. I think it's the problem.
Well, he's got way too much trade value. How long ago do you think Clippers was for Pat Bev?
I think it's 2 years ago.
I think it's 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So since then he's been at Minnesota, Lakers, Bulls, 76ers, and this will be Milwaukee, which is his 6th team in the last 3 seasons. Obviously long tenures at the Rockets and Clippers. But Pat Beverly has become the journeyman, that's for sure. This is very 2024. You can listen to world leaders talking about 1,000 years of Russian history, and you can also hear basketball players announcing their own trade on their own podcast.
Once they told him about it, like sometimes I was like, shit, I've been traded.
For a fucking washing machine. So Pat Bev comes into the Bucks. I like it. Like it's a good, locker room sort of presence kind of operator. Obviously, playing a guard position, he's only going to be subbing in and out, or maybe they play him as a small forward. But I think it's more of a presence kind of trade.
Yeah, I think, do you think with Rivers there, that's kind of his MO, get a veteran dude in to help with, selling the message?
100%.
Oh, did they overlap at 76ers? Did they have a connection?
Yeah, I think so.
would have.
I reckon they would have.
Yeah. So that's definitely what I reckon that is. A known commodity, known veteran presence in the locker room. Make the deal, get him in there.
23-24 for Pat Bev at the 76ers.
Yeah, Rivers was there last year, wasn't he?
Yep. So good pick up there. So back end of 76ers. Maybe Doc had something to do with Pat going to Philly. We'll get to Philly in just a second. The Knicks are looking pretty good. Start believing, Knicks fans, maybe, that they bring in Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks from the Pistons. Bogdanovic, big grab for them. They've been playing reasonably well, and that only bolsters their depth at least. You know, the 76ers going the wrong way. The Bucks not looking that great. Maybe the Knicks.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, maybe the Knicks are the team to worry the East leading Celtics. We have to talk about the 76ers. Probably the big story outside of trades and All-Stars this week in the NBA, and that's the Joel Embiid shit show.
That's what I like to call it. But, you know, I think I covered it in the last body when I said, you know, he ducked the Nuggets. He didn't show up. That, of course, tweaked the league's interest because they didn't have him on the injury report at all. So they were like, well, you didn't tell us that he was injured. So then the following week they made him injured with a knee issue. Whether he had one or not is the question. And then, unfortunately, he goes out and gets a knee injury and
Karma.
yeah, maybe a bit of that. Meniscus for him, left meniscus, had to have surgery. And, you know, with all of that, means he's going to miss out on the MVP. He will have missed too many games to be eligible, which just leaves Joker, I think, untested to be able to win it, even at this point in the season.
He was like $1.60 last time I checked. He's shorter now, is he?
$1.53, yep.
SGA's hanging around, and then it's out to Giannis at 7. It's pretty much it's unless Joker gets hurt
himself.
It's
yeah,
his.
Exactly. If Joker keeps up his quality of play for the remainder of the season, he'll get his third in 4 years.
They got fined as well for not listing Joel.
Yeah. So of course the league then, part of that investigation will be like, here's your $75,000 fine. Don't do it again.
Tinfoil hat on. Why do you think the 76ers have been wrapping him in cotton wool? Are they just don't want him to get hurt going up against the Joker? You know, is it
maybe? But then, I guess he comes back and plays against Draymond because Draymond playing centre is definitely advantage him.
100.
But then, he's the wild man.
Fucking hell, he's more likely to get one of the teeth from
I'm not sure.
He's going to get knocked out.
Because he got this knee injury from a guy landing on him. So I'm not sure if it was Draymond was the one that landed on him or not. Some WWE shit.
It was Kuminga.
But, some talk that maybe they were trying to hide his knee injuries. And that was the reason he's just sitting out of.
Well, he's had a past meniscal tear as well,
and he's a big dude. Like knee issues are always going to be a challenge, but it's whether that was part of it or not. Trying to limit his wear and tear, I think, probably plays a little bit into it. But it is what it is now. He unfortunately got a serious enough knee injury that required surgery.
They'll just be hoping as a franchise to not drop out of that top 6 and have the check, because you finish 7th. In this play-in era, it's
did they have
dangerous.
Score 50 points the other day? Was it Maxi?
Yeah, Maxi's put up 50 plus twice, I think, this year.
Whether he can fill that gap a little bit. He's no Joel Embiid, but he's
it's completely
different
position. Obviously,
I meant the scoring volume that they get out of Embiid. Just is he going to be their primary scorer for them to help getting through?
They also bring in Buddy Hield from the Pacers. I think he played quite well today. Gave up Marcus Morris and Furkan Korkmaz for that. Pacers sitting in 6th. Pascal Siakam not really putting up huge numbers. He's only had 5 or so games there. Heat in 7th. They bring in Terry Rozier from the Hornets. Kyle Lowry goes to Hornets. This did happen pretty much straight after the last pod. It is a few weeks old, that news. Kyle Lowry most likely going to be used as a pawn there. Hornets going through a complete rebuild. They sit in 13th. They've brought in Seth Curry and Grant Williams, traded away PJ Washington. Lots going on there with Hornets. Who knows how many of these guys will actually be a Hornet at season's end.
Did you see that? I think it was one of their games. Their coach got ejected.
Yeah.
And then it was like when the teacher was away, the kids were playing. They were getting pumped, and they're all on the sideline just having a huge good laugh and enjoying themselves. So, I think there's maybe a bit of culture issues over down there and for the Hornets.
Any blokes reading books on the sideline?
Not on this one.
The subtle art of coaching basketball. Bulls, this is a big story. So Zach Levine, he is done for the season, foot surgery. I think the Bulls are it's early, but pretty well done with that injury.
Do you think the Nets, as a team, to potentially move up and push them down?
They're 5 games behind.
And they have been playing a little bit better recently.
Bringing Schroeder, Thad Young.
Ben Simmons is back.
Arcing up to Jarrett Allen. You see that?
Yeah.
Possibly. It's it's them or the Raptors that could push up. You get down to the Hornets, and there's an 8-game gap. So the bottom 3 are pretty much gone. So if anyone's going to jump into that play-in position, it's got to be Toronto or Brooklyn. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. You're a tick below 500 and you lose your best player. Yep. It's danger for Chicago, that's for sure. Hawks as well. Yeah. Like lots of chat around DeJounte Murray being moved on. Bruce Brown didn't come into fruition before this trade deadline, but not good with Murray being their big piece that came in at the start of the season. I don't like the immediate future for Atlanta.
Yep.
And speaking of Wizards, Pistons, they're done. Killian Hayes, first-round pick, big part of that offense in Detroit just a few years ago. He's gone. They'll be looking to hit rebuild too. Yep. Over in the West, not big moves made by the top teams in the Wolves and the Nuggets, but OKC bring in a huge piece with Gordon Hayward joining. He's 33, which brings up their average age considerably. And again, we spoke about Pat Bev and that locker room presence.
Yep.
This is kind of that on steroids. This is a guy that's a veteran who, in his heyday, was one of the better small or power forwards getting around, and I think is a really good missing piece for this OKC Thunder unit.
Yeah, I agree. And it was good to see Giddey not going anywhere.
Yeah, well, that had been the chat for the last 6 weeks. So Giddey going to stay there with SGA and Chet, and look, with Hayward coming in, why not now?
Yep.
Why not now? Clippers, old heads didn't move anyone, but they're looking good. Suns, they're in 5th, bring in Royce O'Neal and David Roddy. Pels, big Zion, went close to triple-dub today. He was looking pretty good. Kings will receive Robin Lopez of well-read fame. And the Mavs, I really like this for Mavs, bringing in PJ Washington coming over from Charlotte. Any team that's got Kyrie and Luka in their backcourt, you bring in prime age power forward. I think that front court gets a big bolster with him.
They needed something, I think, to kickstart them as well.
Yeah, 100%. Look, does that mean that they can push for being one of the best teams in the West? I'm not that big on PJ Washington just yet, but it's an improvement. And with Luka there, he's got the ability to single-handedly win games. So, 100%. I think they'll
stave off the challenges of, say, the Lakers, Jazz, and the Warriors kind of chasing.
They'll only get better, you'd think,
I
with PJ Washington coming in. So they should march up a little bit. Lakers, always got to talk about it. The sexiest franchise in the NBA. Had been heavily linked
with everybody.
DeJounte Murray, Cole Lowry, Spencer Dinwiddie, just to name a few. It seems like they want to bring in a guard to help out there. No moves was kind of surprising. It means like D'Angelo Russell and Hillbilly Kobe will be staying put, and they're going to have to try and do it with the bloke in his 1,000th year in LeBron.
Did he get his 40,000th point during the week?
No hyperbole. I think it was actually 40,000.
Yeah.
He did get a milestone this week,
which of course would be the first player to ever do that. But James, you can confirm for me what points he'd been doing. What else has been happening? Did Golden State Warriors actually get a win?
They've won a few. Steph hit 11 threes against the Pacers yesterday, which I thought was a few. I didn't realise it was this many. 14's the record with Clay did it in 2018. Steph's done 13 once and 12 once. So 11's a massive, massive game for him. Clay certainly has struggled since Achilles and ACL injuries. He's 35. They might be able to get a little bit for him. You reckon a bit of a trade piece?
Yeah, but potentially going forward, they maybe could look to move him. because the Clay's washed storyline is the big one at the moment. That is
unfair.
He's just hindering the team more than he's helping it. But I think it is where they are at the moment. Struggling to stay above 500. Can they get something for him? Can they get a piece maybe that him and Picks get something to help Curry out? Because they kind of feel like exactly the same sort of spot where the Lakers are. They just kind of middle of the pack, and do they need something to help move them up a couple of spots to be competitive when it comes final time?
And they have elite big man like the Lakers do in AD. Yeah, I think they need to do something.
LeBron is on 39,843 points in the regular season.
39.8, so probably
another 100
in the next month he's going to hit the 40,000.
There you go.
Yep.
Rockets bring in Steven Adams and Victor Oladipo. Grizz, Blazers, Spurs, all done, you'd imagine.
Yep. Oh, were there some All-Star lineups? Have they announced it yet?
Yeah, All-Star.
Or did they the list of All-Stars, but not the actual...
No, it's all good to go.
They usually do their draft picking thing. They get the guys to pick them and...
No, I think it's all good to go.
Okay.
Once he's got to bring it up. It's only a week away.
Mm-hmm. I assume they're done then.
The old All-Star lineups. There's a few snubs. Did see Trey missed out. I think outside of that, pretty much mostly as you'd expect. Here we go. Eastern Conference, we've got Giannis, Joel, won't play, Tyrese Halliburton, Damian Lillard, and Jason Tatum. Reserves, so Bam probably comes straight in for Joel. Paolo Banchero, Scotty Barnes comes in, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Julius Randle named but hurt, won't play. Trey comes in as the injury replacement there.
It's interesting that Doc Rivers ended up with... Yes. I think he said he'd send the game, the check for coaching that game to... what was the previous coach's name? Smith?
Yeah, poor fella, he got fucking shafted.
Yeah.
LeBron James, he'll captain the Western starters. Luka, KD, SGA, Nikola Jokic. Whew, that's saucy on paper. Okay. Reserves, Devin Booker, Stephen Curry.
Pretty saucy reserves.
Anthony Davis, Ant Edwards, PG-13, Kawhi, KAT. Look, I don't want to go too much off name value, but that West
has some name value.
Western team is incredible. Good also to see, this development of young guys over in the East. Tyrese, Banchero, etc. Coming into it.
Did any team have more than two? Bucks
had two. Lakers got two. Bucks got two.
Wolves had two.
I think Suns have got two. I think that's a record. Celtics have two. 76ers have two.
Clippers have two.
No threes.
There you go.
Nice little tidbit there.
Yeah.
Pretty much halfway season of the NBA. Trade deadline done and dusted. We'll see how the second half of the season plays out. Talk a bit of cricket?
Yep.
Go cricket.
Australia, West Indies, white ball ongoing, the shortest ODI in Australian cricket history. Played out on Tuesday. Boys, I had, as all of us did, had to work on Tuesday. But sometimes on a weeknight, you'd think ODI might get down there for the second innings, maybe the back end, maybe from...
Get it on the telly when you
go.
Maybe
from, say, the 30th or 35th over in the first innings. Thought about it at lunchtime. Checked my phone. West Indies were all out. Got home. The game was over.
Yep.
Incredible scenes. Windy skittled for 80 odd. Jake Fraser McGurk. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But
they're saying rush him in all the formats.
Could certainly be a superstar
He's
moving
David
forward.
Warner light. So
Ricky Ponting's anointed him. He's been big on the get him in the red ball team bandwagon. We've spoken about him over the last few months. Saw what he did in the Matador Cup, scoring that fastest 100 ever in that, and the bloke is talented. And some of the shots he was playing, albeit in a 7-over run chase, incredible. So definitely keep an eye on Jake Fraser McGurk.
There's a few other guys that did well on this too. Xavier
Bartlett,
and then Lance Morris played as well. So
what was Bartlett's figures? He had 8 for 38 in 2 games. In 2 games that he played. So his ODI.
What was Skull's quote? He could swing an election.
He could swing an election. Yes. It's nice from the big Skull there because. Yes, lots of people bowl wheels these days, but the ability to hoop it around there
with sideways,
with a new white ball, Xavier Bartlett, geez, he looks like a talent and kind of a little bit flown under the radar when it comes to quicks and prospects.
Well, all the chat's been about Morris and Spencer Johnson. So, yeah.
So Xavier Bartlett might be going, hi, I'm pretty handy at IPL teams if you want to throw a little bit of bickies my way. I could be a pretty handy addition to an IPL franchise.
I did see Spencer Johnson was given a debut for the next T20 game, so he will play in that.
It's good to see because
it's good to see some talent outside the top 11.
Well, and the fact that Stark aging, Hazelwood getting there.
Cummins
will be.
They're all basically started their careers at the same time.
The fact that the fast bowling stocks currently include Spencer Johnson, Lance Morris. Wow, Lance. I was saying a bit fancy. Lance Morris, Xavier Bartlett, along with Jai Richardson and the like. I think the future is pretty safe in our bowling department. That brings us into the test squad for the New Zealand tour. It's only a couple of weeks away until more
12 names.
More tests. There's 14 there. So Pat Cummins, Steve Smith, Scott Boland, Alex Carey, Cam Green, Josh Hazelwood, Travis Head, Usman Khawaja, Marnus. Spoke about it in the last pod. Don't think in any danger, but his average has dropped. seven runs in the last 12 months. Nathan Lyon, Allan Border medalist Mitch Marsh, Michael Neser comes back in. He was last season's Sheffield Shield Player of the Year.
Yep.
You wouldn't think
he's been unreal in the Big Bash as
well.
Bro,
he's so good. He's so a legitimate all rounder.
Yeah.
And if it's ever him versus guys that aren't named, perhaps Hazelwood, Cummins, or Stark. The fact that he's so good with the bat
and the field,
might be.
Do Bison and Green need to start worrying? Is he the third one to add that conversation?
I don't want to laugh at that. Yeah. I don't want to laugh at that because Cam Green's the anointed one. Mitch Marsh is the Allan Border medal. Yep. I think they're reasonably safe as things have played out over the last few years. Yep. But Michael Neser is a legitimate all rounder.
Yep.
And the fact that the bloke is scoring runs for fun in the Shield or in County or in any other format, he's been banging down the door. He's only got 2 tests under his belt, but I think he plays Test cricket again. Yep. Does Michael Neser?
Yep. So are they playing 3 games in New Zealand?
They're playing 2 tests, I believe.
2 tests.
2 tests. Can you get that up? New Zealand tour.
Yeah. Do you think
Australia tour of New Zealand
will play a full strength for both? Do you think the 11 that played West Indies will be the 11?
Yeah, Test cricket. I think barring injury, it's the
no bowler rotation resting.
Nah, I don't think so. I think they've made it pretty apparent that our bowling quartet, the most successful quartet of all time, stays together unless someone is physically unable to go.
That's very good. Well, they might need it because what have the Kiwis been doing? Who have they been playing recently? Because Kane Williamson is on an absolute tear at the moment. He got 2 centuries in 2 innings, and he's got 6 centuries in 6 test matches to take his total to 32 to be 1 behind our illustrious Steve Smith, and take over second spot, I guess, in the Fab Four. He's been on a rate of form. I just wanted to know who they've been playing recently.
Have you got the? Oh, you've got the upcoming tour. I'll bring up the Kane Williamson ship.
Yeah,
how many test matches?
Yeah, they'll start with T20s, but they have 2 test matches. The first one starts at the end of this month, 29th of Feb.
Yep.
And the second one will, start, I guess, a week later.
And they're
8th of
playing
March.
the T20s before then, are they?
Yep.
So when's the first T20?
22nd of Feb.
So that's not even 2 weeks.
No. Yep.
There you go. I'm bringing up Kane Williamson. Just coming up here.
Who have they been playing? So obviously, I'm assuming winning with what he's been doing.
Yeah.
You got there, Jimmy? Who they've been playing?
No, so he's ranked number 1 in the batting rankings for Test cricket.
I've just got to scroll here. Yeah, it's wild.
That is.
So 109 against South Africa, 118 against South Africa.
Oh, that's right. They're playing the South Africa B team because all the guys are playing in the T20.
That's
I remember
right.
now. Yeah, and they've been pumping them.
104 against Bangladesh, 215. That's going back to the start of last year. But he's got 3 tons in this summer, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tons since in the last 12 months.
12 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff from Kane Williamson coming back
Insane form.
coming back from an ACL.
Just scroll that down a little bit. Yeah, it is because that's his last 6 test matches. His records there: 4, 132, 1, 121, 215, 104, 11, 13, 11. Bit of a downer that game. 118 and 109.
6 tons, 6 tests. Incredible.
Yeah.
India versus England.
Yeah.
They're going into their 3rd test at the moment. I think India are now on the top of the World Test Championship as well. But big news, of course, was Kohli's officially been ruled out for all the remaining tests in this series due to personal reasons. Hopefully everything's all right with the big fella and, there's nothing family related, etc. That need to worry about, and he'll be hopefully back playing cricket in not too distant future. But the Indian squad's been doing pretty well without him recently. They've been playing a pretty interesting series against England.
Tied up.
Yeah, when does match 3 start?
I think it's Wednesday. I think there's a few days until the 3rd one kicks off.
We'll see if they pick 4 spinners.
Yeah. Some of the decks, questionable.
Bumrah, I think, was the first Indian to be number 1 international bowler in the world.
I do think he's the first to be number 1 overall, and I think has got the 2nd lowest average for a guy that's taken 150 wickets.
Yeah, got his 150th in the last one too.
It's incredible.
Jeez.
Doing very, very good there for India versus England.
Ricky Ponting will coach the Washington Freedom. This is big, obviously trying to expand the game over in the USA. What are our thoughts around this?
Yeah, Major League Cricket also trying, by what I've seen, have managed to pick up a bunch of really good name value cricketers as well. So for that league, especially in that kind of market, if they can, kick in there a little bit and maybe steal some of those baseball fans, they could really grow. And they have a huge, expat amount of people that live in that country that would definitely love cricket. So I think that's huge to get a name like Ricky, who's coached basically every level. He's coached the Delhi Capitals, etc. Like the dude's an absolute legend. So I think that's a huge get for Major League Cricket, and they can definitely market him to the masses.
When does that kick off, Max?
Begins 4th of July.
Ah,
Yeah, they're
fitting.
They're spring.
So it'll
Summer.
be just after the T20 World Cup, or just after, or just before?
Just
4 days
after
just
the
after.
conclusion of T20 World Cup. Yep.
And I'm assuming that's also before the IPL starts. No, IPL's in
IPL's April.
April. Yeah.
Yep.
Then World Cup.
Then the World Cup.
Then
Then
into
Major
this.
League Cricket.
Damn. Which probably leads to the next point. Ricky has been quoted having an idea of do you limit the amount of T20 competitions a player can play in as a way to, essentially like the South African guys not being able to be in international team? Can they, instead of having 20 leagues, 3 of them are playing at any one time, do they have a limit on what they could do?
Nah, good luck.
Yeah, I think legally it's going to be very hard to prevent someone from applying their trade.
Yep.
And I don't think it's a great idea. I feel like we're in that period of oversaturation, and then it will come back down, and we'll see which leagues have maintained some relevance.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
don't see how they'll police that or enforce it.
Yeah.
No.
Pathum Nissanka.
Mm-hmm. Smashes some records. I think the first Sri Lankan to get a double ton in 1 day. So,
Oh, yeah.
So a bit of a... It might have even been shout beer worthy there, James, for that one.
A Sri Lankan beer.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe next week.
And then I think finish up with the ladies. South African ladies beat Australia for the first ever in the 1 day. Beat Australia in a 1 day in Australia. Actually, I think it was even... Was it in Australia? Maybe it was...
It was here, yeah.
But I'm not sure if it was the first ever win against Australia.
Yeah, maybe.
But either way, they did that, and the game's just concluded. The second game in Australia hammered them in the second one. Bit of rain delay there, and the South African girls had a lot to chase with the remaining in that game, with the remaining overs they had available. I think Australia got well over 200, so they batted really well. And that, I think, is cricket. Ramble? Go back to a bigger ramble?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hit us with a Sue there, Jimmy.
Unfortunately, the male Matildas have bowed out of the Asian Cup. They lost in the quarterfinals. This was a early game. I got up and watched the second half, and it was enthralling stuff. Did have a 1-0 lead against South Korea. I didn't see the opening goal, but it was Craig Goodwin that put it in. And then we really had chances to close it out. Mitch Duke had a volley which flew over. He had a header which was pretty much open goal. Hard header, like full extension, and put it wide. And then Paul Lewis-Miller, it was pretty much poor discipline, which cost us the game. Failed in the box. Korea scored 96th, 97th minute, something along those lines. And then he fouled the second time just outside of the box. Beesdick outside of the box in extra time, and Son showed why he's a class above pretty much anyone in this Asian Cup. Put it in the back of the net to seal the game for the South Koreans. They themselves get knocked out in the next game by Jordan. Both semi-finals were upsets with Jordan going past South Korea and Iran going down to Qatar. So
I assume Japan got knocked out earlier in the tournament.
They went out in the quarters as well.
Interesting.
So it's Qatar going for back-to-back Asian Cups. They'll start as reasonable favourites. I think that's 2 a.m. our time. It's in about 3-4 hours, something along those lines. Incredible story for the Jordanians to even make the quarters, let alone going to the big dance. Also having a look at their team, they have no one that plays at any club of note in Europe, but pretty hard to go past Qatar over there for sure. African Cup of Nations, some more well-known teams with Nigeria and Ivory Coast. They'll kick off Monday morning our time. Some big names there. Being pulled away from the big clubs in Europe. And the schedule for the 2026 World Cup has been released, which will be in North America, USA, Canada, Mexico. First 48-team World Cup. The final is going to be in New York. Semis will be Atlanta and Washington. All the quarters as well are going to be in the States. Mexico and Canada scrounging a round of 16 game each, plus lots of the qualifiers. So going to certainly be a different World Cup in terms of amount of games, amount of exposure for lots of teams that haven't been to the World Cup or have only been to a few. And if we miss out on qualification, we've really got to have a hard look at ourselves.
Definitely.
I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely.
I think it's good for the game. I was a bit hesitant at first. I was like, 48 teams. That's like a quarter of international teams that play soccer. But I think for the game and for interest in the international game, which can sometimes wane I think it is important for it moving forward, and
Yeah.
and they're going to be in some of the best stadiums in the world over there in North
does,
America.
It does, of course, get dominated by certain regions of the world. So being able to pump the numbers up definitely spreads it. So there'll be good coverage in the World Cup for this one. What was interesting out of this final, New York, MetLife is turf. So it was interesting.
I was going to ask about that.
Because it's interesting in this because the joke going around, of course, is the NFL with the $1 billion owners and all their players can't get turf fields, but FIFA will come in and say,
Well, they'll change.
you will have to put grass in for us.
They will.
which I think is a bit funny.
So moving forward, once FIFA, funds the money to change the surface, I imagine it'll stay like that for the NFL moving forward.
Maybe. It is, of course, cheaper for them to go back to turf. It was because there's some interesting statistics. They think NFLPA said 97% of players want grass, and Roger came out, with his statement saying, "Well, some players like turf," and you look at the players that actually vote for turf. It's kickers. They all prefer, the synthetic.
Their vote should count as half.
So I think the majority would prefer it to be grass. I wonder if this FIFA tournament is a way to kind of kick them in the butt because they're going to have to do it because they will force them to do it, and they will comply.
So
Plus, I don't think it'll be called MetLife. Because they won't allow.
It'll be called New York or
New
New
York
Jersey
Stadium,
Stadium or something like that.
Because they don't allow any of that sponsorship stuff.
Yep. So 8 of the 16 venues have a permanent artificial turf surface that will need to be replaced.
There you go.
Yep.
Quick look at the EPL week. Arsenal getting a win against Liverpool. Those Alisson blunders, pretty ordinary, especially the one jumping out. It looked bad in slow-mo, but, opens the door for City and Arsenal, that's for sure. City have a game in hand, so I feel like I've seen this movie before, where City come in from seemingly nowhere.
It does open the door a little bit for Arsenal there too, but yeah, like you say, City's got the game in hand.
Yeah, only 2 points.
And
it's good viewing, and Aston Villa are 5 points within striking distance. I'm not saying that Aston Villa are going to go out and win the league, but
you could say,
Champions League certainly on the cards for
them.
them.
Throw Tottenham's probably in that conversation, but I think it's those 5 are ahead of everyone else, and then it's a steep drop off to United.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of Lisandro Martinez, looked like an MCL. I don't know if the scans have come back. It will be a big loss for United, but from what I saw, didn't think ACL was at danger. They look good, actually, hammering West Ham. And given how many games they've lost, they're sitting 6th. It's certainly... season's not over for United. They'll be gunning more for Champions League than winning the league, that's for sure.
Yep.
Any news there on Lisandro Martinez?
No, not...
Just a knee injury. It looked like MCL.
Yep.
Okay.
City had a Phil Foden Hattie. They got past Brentford to make sure they took advantage of that slip up from Liverpool, and Spurs and Everton had a 2-2 draw earlier in the week.
That's interesting. You scroll the table down at the bottom because I think Everton are still,
they're in the drop zone.
In just. And I think actually they've closed the distance a little bit to Luton there, but Luton does have a game in hand.
Martinez was an MCL injury.
There you go, baby.
Sometimes I know what I'm talking about. Blue card chat.
Yeah, so came out in the last couple of days. Actually, I didn't even think it was yesterday. The league, I think it's only Premier League. You can confirm this for me, Jimmy. Thinking of introducing a blue card as of next season, with the goal of it being, say, a 10-minute sin bin. You got to sit down in the technical area, I think is what they're calling it. And it's mostly to deal with on-field behaviour, is what they've quoted it as. Whether that's... instead of doing yellows or reds for certain scenarios, that they can throw in the blue card, whether that's dissent towards referees or repeated infringements that they think is worthy of a sit-down, instead of sending them off completely. It'll be interesting. I think a lot of the coaches said it's silly, it's going to be bad for the game, etc. If it's bad enough for a red card, give them reds. And play a man down. But we know how much of an impact it is playing with one man down in any sport, but especially in soccer and football. So, it'd be interesting. So improved player behaviour, increase respect for match officials are the two things we've just listed, and that's what they say here as a part of that football's lawmakers.
Yeah.
Temporary dismissals for dissent and specific tactical offences.
Which could be like
a professional foul?
Yeah, like a guy's running through on ball, on goal, and you pull him down by his jersey. That's a yellow card now. Whereas, you get a blue card, you sit you down for 10 minutes versus giving you a red and send you off. So, so what are they saying? The trial for high-level football, which is expected to last at least 12 months, will include situations. Yeah, when are they saying?
Oh, wow. A trial that lasts 12 months. NRL.
At the NRL. Well, they're already stealing the sin bin from them. So, can you scroll that down a little bit more? Whether I just want to know if they've got a start date. Trial of course, the next season won't be permitted at the very top level, and it would be 2026 or 27 at the earliest.
So it's so far away.
Yeah. So they're going to trial it in, well, not the Premier League next year, but they're going to try maybe the tier down, and they'll try it in some of those other tiers. Because as I think we were talking pre-potty, it's stamped out of the game at those lower levels. They really go after it, especially the referee dissent. Get to the professional, the top leagues, and they get away with a lot more. So, it's interesting that they're bringing this in and going to trial it out and see what happens.
I'm not completely opposed to it, I must say.
No. Well, for us, for English fans that love football, aren't kind of maybe used to this idea, whereas we watch rugby league and sin bins. We were the other way. It was like there was lots of sin bins and no send-offs. We wanted more send-offs.
I suppose it'll be interesting how they sort of, ruled on it, like what's the difference between a blue card and a yellow card, I guess. And
go down a little bit. Down.
How you define
Stop there, too far. It's go up, we can make it big, go up.
A lot of it's to do with dissent, I think.
It says one such example was Italian defender dragging back England's by the scruff of his neck in the final of the Euro 2020. Which was a penalty and I guess a yellow, and this it would be a blue card.
Yeah.
What about Kiliani on Bukayo Saka?
Yep.
Interesting. See how it plays out. It's not like it's anything pressing. It seems like it's a few years away before it finds its way into professional competition, but I like that they've announced it and they're going to have a long trial period before it actually affects games.
I wonder if that'll then mean we might see grassroots leagues, like, would we see that kind of thing getting used over here
possibly
sooner rather than later? Can you give some mums and dads a blue card? Go sit in the car for 10 minutes?
So I'm sure there's a few that deserve it.
Quite possibly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, let's run through our On The Esky final round. UFC 298 is next week. It's a massive card for Aussie fight fans with two of our favourite sons doing battle. The featherweight world championship is up for grabs. Alexander Volkanovski trying to defend yet again, going up against Ilya
Vegas?
Topuria.
Vegas?
California, I think.
Oh, gets right. California.
Yeah, Anaheim, California.
What do we think, boys? Volk, can he get it done? Is he too old? That's the rhetoric.
Check out the Sportsbet ad if you haven't. Volk going old wog things in that ad.
I think I saw a stat that for the featherweight division, the youngest fighter has won in championships 15 or 4 fights, and those 4 fights are all being Volk as the older fighter winning. So Volk is by far the longest tenured champion now. I think he's been champion, if I do the math based on his, I think it's 1,100 days. He's almost 4 years. Yeah. So I don't know. Because coming off the first Islam fight, going into the second Islam fight, he's coming out. He's the 3 to 4 weeks leading up to that, he was drinking every day. It's a regular occurrence for you, Peps. I'm kidding. But
when's my fight?
Yeah. No, but like kind of like he was down in the dumps. Like he Yes, he still had his featherweight belt, but he hadn't got the job done. He really wasn't happy with the way he was as a person. Took that fight from very, very short notice. Basically got a really good deal out of it as well. Like he extended his deal with UFC on significantly more money than what he was on. But of course got pieced up in the first round. So by all accounts, he's gone away and trained the house down. He's been training with Delhi Madvidova, I think is how you say his last name. The other Aussie that had been playing, that had been fighting very, very well. So I hope he's ready. That's the main thing. I think he's more than talented to win and keep the belt. It's just, is he in the right mindset to still be champion? That's my only concern.
I think you can't compare the Islam fight, which was taken on 10 days' notice, had to travel.
At lightweight, at a much bigger division.
Yeah, exactly. I'm confident that he can go out and get this win against Topuria. Having said that, Topuria is unbeaten and by all accounts an absolute weapon when it comes back to the featherweight division. I've just got his stats here and his recent fights. He's beaten Josh Emmett, Bryce Mitchell, Jai Herbert, some reasonable names there in the UFC.
But he hasn't kind of run the gauntlet of the top 5 of the featherweight.
No,
it's because of course Volk's cleared
the
them
nature
out.
of the division, isn't it?
Yeah, but you would think the perennial gatekeeper, he would have had a fight against Holloway in there somewhere, but skips over him. Ortega is another one that was in that top. It's
also won via decision against Josh Emmett. It's not like he's gone out there and just completely pieced up guys. So I'm quietly confident that Volk can get the job done.
We're going to be biased, of course, and want the Australian Volk to win. I would like to see Volk continue and keep his long title reign going.
I'll bring up some odds on that fight. Robert Whittaker also to take on Paulo Costa. Oh, yeah.
Do you win?
Volk is favourite, $1.88. Yeah, it is close. Tapuya is $1.92.
What do the bookies know that we don't? Because that's
I think it's just
closer than I would have thought.
Yeah, I think it's more a reflection. You just look at Volk. He's 1-2 in his last 3, but of course those 2 losses against
so different, isn't it?
Yeah, going up a division to fight. The best lightweight in the world at the moment. So, I think it's just how much does that wear on him and the age, etc. And these are all factors that play into that. I think that's what the odds are reflecting, but I think he's just still too good.
Yep. Well, the method and round, they're going Volk for the TKO in the first round as your favourite method there, with again, going to method of victory, Volk favourite at $3.75 for the TKO. So, bookies not thinking it's going to go to decision.
What's Volk via decision?
Volk via decision. No, it is close. It's $3.90.
We'll see. I'm, again, quietly confident maybe that is the Australian bias coming out in myself. You look at those names that Topuria's been up against, and it's not like the run sheet of blokes that Volk has beaten handily and defended against multiple times.
Yeah. But then, wear and tear comes into it a little bit. And
sure.
Questions. Young Lion. I hope he wins. Alexander the Great. And then co-main is Whittaker taking on Paulo Costa, which is an interesting fight. Paulo Costa is... I saw he was... Picture of him, he was 205 pounds as of last week. So
right.
They were saying he had 2 weeks to drop the last 15.
He'll do that, you'd think. Normally carries a fair bit.
Yeah, he carries heaps, but he'll rehydrate and be probably 200 pounds in this one. I would look at, again, want Robert to win, want Whittaker to get back in that conversation, get back in those things. I just worry with the power puncher style of Costa, very comparable to Not Faf Duplessis, who really ran through Robert in the last one. So hopefully Robert's kind of is aware of that, can wear that style. Robert, I think, struggles a little bit with the power guys now. After
draw.
Yeah, well, he's talk about a dude with wear and tear. The wars he had against
Yeah.
Yoel Romero, I think really took a bit out of his chin. In every fight, he kind of there's just a shot that knocks him down, and you just hope he can get back up from it and recover. And some of those fights, he comes out and fights better afterwards. So, but it's when's he going to take that big shot and can he survive it? Is always my concern with Whitaker at the moment. And a big dude like Paulo Costa, he's going to want to throw bombs.
Not a lot of faith in our Aussie boys.
Yeah. Let's hope it's good for us and they come out on top.
Costa did get paced up by Izzy, had that war against Marvin Vittori and then gets a decision against Luke Rockhold. What's the age difference? Are they reasonably similar?
I think Robert would have to be older.
Whitaker's 33 and Costa is 32, so nothing really there of note.
Yep.
I'll go with Bobby Knuckles. Fuck it.
Yeah, that's good. Come on, boy.
That's his favourite $1.45.
Quite sure.
Yeah, Costa's out at $2.69.
It's been a hot minute, I think, since Costa's last fight.
Well, and not a lot of fights.
Because I think this is the third time they've tried to book this fight. Yeah, so
nearly 2 years. Call it 18 months since Costa's last
When's
fight.
Whitaker's last fight? I think it might actually be comparable.
He fought last
Oh,
year.
he lost it.
Yeah.
To not Faf. Yeah, that's right.
Dricus beat him in July of last year.
It's been a little bit more active.
Fucking oath. John Jones over there at the doggy training
Yeah, well, just to finish on this.
on the card.
Yeah, he and Gary gets his rebook fight against Jeff Neal. That'll be interesting with all the rhetoric around him being a cuck, essentially.
Your words, not mine.
Yeah, no, that was, Sean Strickland, et cetera, getting stuck in him. Again, not my words, their words. Well, I'll pass that back.
It was Sean.
Because because he was on that Strickland card and he had a viral infection, which is what pulled him out. But they've rebooked that fight there with Jeff Neal, who's a long-time veteran. That'll be interesting. Henry Cejudo and how do you say it's
Marab. I'm not going to try on the surname.
Yeah, Marab, who, this is a top bantamweight contender fight here is the fourth one on this card. This card is excellent. Also looks very, very tidy. And then Hernandez taking on Roman
Kopolov.
Was the last fight on that card to round it out. So, yeah, it's a pretty tidy, top-heavy card for UFC 298.
That is a week away. Thoughts on the Cejudo fight?
Is he washed, I think is the question.
No.
Well, he goes up against...
He went the distance against Aljo.
He did.
I don't think he's washed at all.
No, and, that was after a 3-year layoff as well for him, coming back from retirement. He has to win, essentially, or I think he'll retire. Like he needs to get back in that conversation.
How old is he?
To be, I don't think he's super old.
35?
But he did win a gold medal, so he's probably been around for a hot minute.
37.
Yeah. So, I think he's kind of in that do or die stage. He needs to win to stay in the top 3 conversation and to hopefully maybe get O'Malley or the winner of that O'Malley-Cheeto fight next.
UFC 298, only a week away. Obviously, cheering on Volk and Bobby Knuckles and hoping for some good fights there.
Definitely.
John Jones, Bulldogs.
Yeah.
He's in Australia, Canterbury training.
He looked huge.
Yeah.
Very heavy in those, obviously gone up.
He's playing everywhere. He's everywhere.
Right.
He's basically a front rower, and I'm not sure who he was tackling, but he hit someone onto the padded mat.
Yeah.
So that Peck obviously must be good at the moment. He did kick, I think, a 30-yard goal as well. So
Meters down here, mate.
yes, okay. Well, I was converting it for the John Jones fans. Hopefully they rebook that soon. The rumour is for UFC 300 for the main card, because that's kind of the only fight missing, is Tom Aspinall has been hinting at the fact that he's buying tickets and coming across, and whether he has Alex Pereira for the heavyweight belt is the chat. So I think I talked about that last one, and they keep sending out the rumours that is also potentially going to be on the cards.
Amongst just bringing up the 300 card.
Possible.
Yeah,
that's right. I quite liked it. Looked at the
preview of
the upcoming fights. So just scroll down there for us, monks, if you wouldn't mind. The already named fights on this
he
UFC
did confirm.
300
So Dana
card
did
are
confirm
crazy.
that Cody Garbrandt and Figgy will be the first fight on the main card.
Bo Nickel there, Calvin Catter, Yuri Prohaska and Rakic, Oliveira, Amran, Taksurian, Gaethje, Holloway, Zhang Wei Li, Yan Xiaonan. Probably not the correct pronunciation there.
Close
but
enough.
It's a stack card. We're going to have
is
probably
Yeah, well, we talked.
the girls will be a title fight, yes.
Yep. Yeah, and it's their first Chinese only title fight as well.
And then Gaethje will be a title fight.
Yeah, well, that's the
for
BMF.
That's
as
for
well.
BMF.
Yeah.
And then they might add
They're gonna
possibly one more.
They're going to add, like one of the men's division's title fights. I think is what they want to add to the top of this. Because, there's still heaps of interesting stories. The Holly Holm and Carla Harrison. And then, of course, Bobby Green and Jimmy Miller down the bottom there. Jimmy Miller being at UFC 100, 200, and now 300. And it looks like Bruce will announce him as Jim fucking Miller.
Big story. Jim fucking Miller.
Can't wait for UFC 400.
How many years should that be away?
Eight?
8?
A month. Yeah.
Yeah, if you
No, it's not.
it's at 8, I think, isn't it? If you have one a month.
Just go. When was UFC 200?
Oh, yeah, good point.
Just do that, and then we'll do some quick math. They have been doing more events in between UFC 200 and 300. What are you doing?
You're going a long way.
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
I
he's
like
looking
it there. It's right there.
2016.
8. There we
8
go.
years,
Yeah.
Boom, drop mine.
So maybe it's a little bit quicker, and it's 6 or 7, because they've been doing a bit more pay-per-views of late. But yeah, a long time away. He'd be 48, 47 by that period.
Yep.
So unlikely, but you never know. They might roll him out just for the pop.
Zuck versus Musk, surely.
Yeah, a bit like
Yeah.
The Rock coming back to main WrestleMania. They'll wheel him out to get the crowd pop.
And from WWE, should we talk a bit of boxing?
Yes, and Tyson Fury and Usyk, their fight I think was meant to be this week. It was very close.
Very close, yeah.
It was one of Fury's last sparring session. He cops a loose elbow, big cut above his, I'm assuming that's right eye based on that picture. Of course, can't continue with the fight. He needs the heel. There was a bit of back and forth in the media about who's dogging who's trying to avoid who. But they've already rebooked it. It's going to happen in May now. Both have guaranteed if either of them, if they pull out of that fight, they will pay the other $10 million. So big incentive to be there.
Yeah.
Of course, Francis Ngannou was on the socials and saying, well, maybe me versus Joshua for the Undisputed leading up to that. All happening in the heavyweight division. So then, of course, that means Francis and Anthony will happen beforehand, and Zhang and Parker, who are on the co-main for that, will also happen beforehand. So we might have some answers to a potential challenger for the winner of this fight.
Right.
And that's really boxing. Garcia and Haney announced today fighting as well. That was big news. But that's about it.
Bit of F1 to semi-close us out in the final round.
Yep. Do you want to do some new?
Oh, yeah, mate. Well, give us a little...
It's been a while.
Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah, winter off-season. A lot of news. It started with Andretti being rejected for F1 to get the license to put their two cars on it, which will be interesting.
For the next round of entries, but...
Yeah, from 2026. And they've said he can maybe come back in 2028. Reasoning, they won't be competitive enough, and it'd be more benefit to them than it would be for them joining F1.
Yeah, in terms of like branding and valuation
but
and all that sort of
Andretti
stuff.
is probably one of, if not the biggest names in motorsport in every other category that isn't F1.
Yeah.
They do absolutely everything else.
Bit surprising the push that F1 has to get into the US.
Yeah,
And then knock back and
it was interesting because I think, who was it? It was the FIA rejected them or Formula One's management? Because one of them said yes and the other one said no as the official kind of check. So, no, he's got it here. So
It's FIA.
FIA approved and the Formula One management rejected. That's what it says there. So obviously the higher ups in the Formula One. So FIA is the technical guys. They said, technically they're all compliant and they can enter.
That's for all motorsport as well, not just F1.
And Formula One management have rejected them, saying, no, you're not going to be competitive. We don't want you on the back end of the field. I think it's a bit harsh. I think they could have, considering where Haas is at the moment, they could have been competitive like them. They are one of the biggest. They have all the motorsport kind of history. One of the biggest teams across all the other kind of categories. I think they could have been successul. But also, how are they going to be competitive if they're not allowed to compete? It started off like that, and that was kind of big news. And then out of left field, Lewis Hamilton's was like, fuck that. Hold my beer. I'm going to the Ferrari.
Can you put that into terms that the casual might understand? What's it like? Is it like Tom Brady?
It's Tom Brady.
Yeah, but it's like Tom Brady still signed with the Patriots, saying you're not good enough anymore. I'm going to Ferrari.
Yeah, because
he will see out this season, and it's of course
that's very rugby league.
Yeah, also very rugby league.
Yeah,
and he will go to Ferrari in 2025, which means Carlos Sainz is out because as we mentioned the last potty, Leclerc had redone his deal. And I kind of get it because Mercedes were consistent, top 5 competitors, but they didn't push Red Bull. Whereas Ferrari weren't consistent, but had the pace, got the pole positions, just couldn't win races, but they were definitely competitive. So I wonder if he can see that and maybe he's just like can see that way forward and has joined Ferrari with that future. Noting, of course, Fred Wurst, their team principal, he worked with in FP2, so there's a bit of connection there. And it did also come the day after he test-driven the Mercedes for this year. So whether he sat in that car and was like, fuck this, I'm out, was also was also in the conversation. But he's won championships. He won with McLaren when I think they were McLaren Mercedes. And then when they split off, he's won world championships with Mercedes. If he then won world championships with Ferrari, he would basically complete the big trifecta of teams outside of the recent Red Bull. But of the historical teams, they're the big ones. Which would be huge announcement. I think he's going to get like 100 mil or something for his time at Ferrari, which is a lot of money. I did see their share price, I think, up
6%.
Went up 6%. I think it's gone up 8% since then. Ferrari fans very hyped about that. Getting one of, if not the best driver on the circuit at the moment, is very, very impressive. Big things.
So their value went up 6 billion Aussie dollars with this signing.
Yeah,
it's obscene money. So he'll obviously, whatever happens as he goes to Ferrari, he's already made him just with the signing.
Yeah, and that's the. That's a big thing has been in F1 for a long time with the auto manufacturer backed teams. It's what is it? When do they do most of their races? Sunday. You win on Sunday, you sell cars on Monday. So having someone like Lewis Hamilton, Ferrari, hypes it up, and then he gets people interested in the brand. So massive deal for them. And I think very, very good. They've been pinching engineers from Mercedes and Red Bull over the last year. I think they're on the cusp for hopefully a bright future, and adding someone like Lewis Hamilton, again, veteran presence to young Charles, one of those guys will be competitive.
I know for sure, speaking for myself, rather than my next car being a Toyota, it would certainly be a Ferrari.
On this news alone.
Of course.
It's going to be an interesting season because we're in the winter off season as well. There's lots of stuff happening. But with this, there's 14 drivers of the 20 on the circuit that are off contract at the end of this season. So coming into 2025,
it's going to be mayhem.
Is going to be big change. I think even then, a lot of teams might do 1-year deals. So they can set them up for this 2026 kind of switch over when they change the regulations and the cars switch up a fair bit, that they might want to then reset what they do.
There's a pool of F2 champions as well that have got no seats.
Exactly, like Jack Doohan is sitting around for us Australian fans. He's the Alpine reserve driver, I think. He's one of the reserve.
Season, I think.
He's this year as well. He's one of the reserve drivers as well.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, Alpine.
So, another young fella. There's plenty, like I said, there's 20 spots. There's plenty of great talent coming through the ranks that want to be involved. So with Lewis moving, means there's a seat now open at Mercedes, and then everyone's name gets thrown in there. Is Ricciardo going? Is Perez going to get booted and go there? Are they going to bring up Ocon's going to come across? It's going to be silly season for the driver moves, and I guess the big thing is Netflix hasn't started shooting yet because it's not the start of the season. They'd be kicking themselves. The Drive to Survive hasn't started for this season. But anyway, following on for the news, we had all the livery reveals going on. Most of them, I think the big thing is it's been a bit boring with a lot of the colour disappearing and a lot of the carbon fibre kind of going the way of car shows at the moment with the big major car builds and having exposed carbon is very, very in. So they're following the same kind of process, but also saves weight and cost for them. So, get under that cost cap. Let's not paint the cars. So there's going to be a lot of carbon fiber black, charcoal kind of color with some accent colors. Stakes gone green. I think Visa Cash App are now what were they last year? They weren't Toro Rosso. They were AlphaTauri. One of the nicer colors because they're very, very blue. But yeah, a lot of the other ones have gone with the dark colors. Ferrari, Mercedes, the only ones not. So I've seen a lot of jokes about you can watch your TV in black and white because all the cars are essentially that, which is a bit unfortunate, but they're doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
Couple accent colors, but very, very dark this year for race cars.
Yeah. I do like the green on the stake, or stake, not steak.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess the last big news, Christian Horner being accused of official complaint for, I think the best way to explain it is aggressive behaviour. Being very in your face towards a female staffer. So, the allegations when the first being reported didn't really start like that because of, female staffer. It's not usually what comes out. But it's inappropriate behaviour in the sense that he's, and if you've watched Drive to Survive, you know what kind of dude Christian Horner is. If you're underperforming and not hitting the milestone, he's going to tell you about it. Probably use a lot of expletives in the process. That's kind of the character you see throughout this. And obviously, this stuff has come forward and made the accusations, and then teams will look into it. The interesting thing is the conspiracy that comes into this with, Max Verstappen has loyalty to Helmut Marko and to his dad. By all accounts, Christian's relationship with Marko and Jos Verstappen has fallen apart. And this was first reported in Netherlands, teams based in Austria, which of course is where I think both Marko and Verstappen is. So whether a bit of that came out of there as well. But they think it's a bit of a power struggle to force him out to then get essentially a yes man to be their replacement as the team principal. So Marko and Jos and I guess Max Verstappen are then Max Verstappen's very happy, his dad's happy, and Marko is overseeing the team, has his control back. So all the rumours floating about. They've supposedly finished the investigation today. No official announcement on his job. That may come in the coming days. But very, very interesting. It looks like some people want him out. And that, of course, follows on. That's a big point there with the co-founder, Billy Nair, who died last year. Don't make me try to say his name, unfortunately.
Dietrich Mateschitz.
Yeah, so that's kind of shifted, I guess, the whole power structure. And in, this kind of league where it's big dick swinging on the table trying to see who's got the biggest, you can see this kind of politics and power struggle happening in the back rooms. It looks like they all want Christian gone. So this may have been their tactic. I hope not. I hope it's just
it seems weird,
just a HR complaint. But yeah,
I mean, they seem so dominant and their performance isn't going to drop anytime soon. So I don't understand why this would be happening. Like, even if...
But he's a dude that demands perfection. You can 100% see that. And I think if you're not meeting that level of standard, he's going to call it out.
Yep.
And knowing him, And it'll be like, do your fucking job.
Gordon Ramsay, yes.
Yeah,
But I mean,
exactly. He
yeah.
would get stuck in.
True, but like Max has got nothing to worry about, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Interesting.
but if his dad's not happy with the way Christian Horner is going to happen, their relationship, who's he going to back? He's going to back the old man. And since Marco, got him into the league and really helped him out, and if that relationship's gone, who's he going to back? Marco. How do you keep Max happy? Get Christian out the door. Can we just make him leave? Probably not. Do we have some?
Do you think Max has that much power?
He's two-time world champion. He's best driver at the moment. If they want to keep selling Red Bulls, which they do, and win championships, which they also want to do, Max is their best way to do that. But it's again, conspiracy tinfoil hat. It could just be that he's an asshole, which is also probable. And the HR complaints come out.
Yep.
We will see.
I suppose we'll never know the true story either way.
Yeah, exactly. Bummer, Drive to Survive wasn't film.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
They're like, fuck it, we're going to have to film next off-season.
There's the real conspiracy.
Yeah, we're going to have to be in the factories filming everyone and get all the...
Yeah, it's all...
maybe they
Netflix.
should do that. Make a F1, like an office series, but it's F1. So they're just in the factories, just following people around.
On that note, should we wrap it up with a little bit of...
finish with the league. And then we'll get out of here.
bit of a look ahead to the rugby league season. We've got the trial games and the Indigenous versus Maori All-Stars just a week away. Lots of question marks around who will actually be playing in the round one games in Vegas. Some visa issues, but everyone's good to go.
The Vegas dozen,
as
I
of
said,
today.
the 12 of them, all good to go. The big interesting ones were Reece Walsh, the Cheese, Luke Brooks, and I think Latrell and Jack were the five kind of big ones that had to come into Sydney to go to the embassy to plead their case essentially for their various arrests, etc. And by all accounts, they're happy. They've announced giving them all visas, so everyone's good to go. Rugby league didn't rugby league in this case. They got the job done. Maybe a little bit last minute, but at least everyone will be there. All the stars will be on show.
Very rugby league about it.
And a very good video came out today, voiced by Russell Crowe to help promote in the US. No timeouts, no pads, all just fury. Few concussions in the highlights. We're trying to sell, of course, their next run of media, trying to sell some more tickets to get people out to the event.
They're going to get a sellout? Allegiant 60,000, 65,000? What would look good in there? Half?
At least half. I think if they get 40,000,
Yeah, 40,000 would be good.
I think that's the metric.
How many Aussies do you think are travelling for it? 10, 15,000?
Maybe.
I reckon.
Maybe.
I think that's a ballpark.
What else is happening? I don't think that's the thing.
You could go if you had the cash. You could go to the Super Bowl
now,
have a few weeks, and then go to round one.
I don't think holidaying in Vegas for 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks is good for the back pocket.
There's 15,000 people that had planned to go, and then 1,000 rock up.
Yeah,
Vegas has them now.
Yeah, I had put my tickets on the blackjack table and I lost them.
What's it? 65,000.
65 for NFL can go up to 72.
For a fan, so that's
60,
using the
it's
field.
going to be
61 for a soccer pitch.
All right, so I don't know if they get it half full. They've done well there. I would have thought.
Yeah.
Do you reckon they just throw out a whole heap of free tickets to anyone on the street?
Yeah, maybe. Could you imagine free tickets to the Vegas Critters?
What those 9 cents tickets to Panthers games? Like, let's hope it's a good crowd.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm bloody excited, and I think this is very novel, but I think it adds a little bit more excitement to the start of the league season this year.
Yeah, it's also a very different sort of stadium than they've ever kind of played before.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And
like outside of, it's not ANZ, was it Accord, which is 80?
yeah.
That's most of the grounds they play at are much smaller than that.
Joey Manu's going to go to French rugby.
That's the reports. He's going to see out
Not
his
confirmed
deal
yet.
this year, but he said that's what he's going to do. Probably get paid a pretty penny for that for 2025. But you would think an NRL club could try and keep him around. But
I'll get offered twice as much to go play French rugby.
exactly, that seems like the case at the moment.
And Campbell Graham officially scratched from
Interesting
the
one,
first
isn't it?
half of the year.
Having to have surgery now after, what was it, the infusion?
They tried a bone infusion, something that's normally tried on people with osteoporosis, essentially. I assume that there was a whole bunch of side effects or risks with fixing his sternum surgically because he had shoulder surgery in the off-season. So
I think maybe some timing in it as well. Like if they thought it was going to be successful, then he could start most of the season, get play in the season. Whereas now he won't play until at least mid past the season. So for him, of course, that misses origin period, etc. And he was definitely in that potential squad.
It's very close last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, and with Madge taking it over, he could maybe be one of those guys to replace it for the new blood that gets into that squad. So maybe some of that played in that, like he was opting for it's 50-50, let's take the 50% chance instead of surgery. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to have the surgery anyway and miss most of the start of the season, then I'll just do it at the start of the season.
There's got to be a reason that past our little pea brains, but looking at it, you'd think, well, if you're having your shoulder done, why don't you just get your sternum done at the same time?
I think the good thing, I guess, for South then, that it opens up who was Jack Whiten replacing? Because I'm assuming they're going to slide straight back into the side to play in the centres for
I think it'll be Tass. I'll chase that up. I think Isaiah Tass will essentially retain his centre spot with Whiten going over to the other wing. Played 39 games last year. Pretty much played every game last year for South. So I think it'll be Tass that keeps his centre spot for the first half of the year.
Rumour mill as well, with Madge becoming the New South Wales coach. Jack Whiten has put his hand up, potentially make a return back to Origin.
Out of retirement.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's some rumours that he, of course, didn't like the way he was handled, the way he was kind of playing under Brad. So, it was just like, stuff him out. Fresh idea, fresh blood, etc. He wants to maybe give it a go. Who cares? Queensland's going to win again.
God, I hope not. Really hope not. That's it for everyone. Any final comments?
I think I just saw Zamir Joseph is going to LSG to replace Mark Wood. So maybe he will get into the IPL.
It's crazy. Old Shamar Joseph, turning the cricket world on its head a couple of weeks ago, and we thought, oh gosh, hopefully he gets to play a bit more Test cricket. Hopefully this doesn't impede on his future, but it looks like he might be playing a bit of IPL sooner than what we'd expected.
Yeah.
All right, thank you to those that have listened. We appreciate it as always. Enjoy your Super Bowl Monday or Sunday if you're over in the States. We do have finals for the Asian Cup upcoming. We've got NBA All-Stars upcoming, and the league and AFL season's just around the corner. We will preview those in full during the next ep. We're down the coast next week, so we'll be back in a few weeks. Until then, enjoy your sporting endeavours and tune in to The Esky.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.